Welcome to Self-Perfected.
We're live.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Hey, welcome to Hot Rodent
hot,
Summer.
hot rodent summer.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what does that mean, right? Living on the homestead is a little different than if you live in the city, right? But
Hey, I caught a rodent a couple days ago.
Oh, did you?
hey, was it hot? Did Katie film it?
Yeah, it was hot, if you know what I
Did
mean.
you take your shirt off when you were chasing it down because
Right,
it was
yes.
exhausting to chase it down?
Actually, it was a mouse.
Ooh, freaky.
And a couple weeks ago, actually before the event, so like a week before the event, I was putting the kids to bed, or the big kids anyways. And when I opened their bedroom door, I saw like a little blur on the floor. And I was like, I think there was a mouse in here, guys. And they were like, really? So we were like looking, and we looked under the bed and we saw it into the bed. So
You
then
saw
we
it
like
under the
tried
bed?
to, yeah, it was under
Yeah.
the bed, little mouse. So then we kind of tried to get it, and then it like ran out. And then Max said he saw it run in the bathroom. So I went in there, and like under the vanity where it like can't really get out any other way, it was like under the vanity. So I like had a towel, and I was getting in there, and I was gonna like just like put the towel on it, right? Because it couldn't really get out. It could only come towards me. But that thing, man, I wasn't expecting it. It ran and jumped over the towel that I had, like, getting ready, and like ran out and went into my bedroom. That Max said he saw it go in there, and then we couldn't find it after that. So fast
Wow.
forward,
It's cuddling with Cameron.
post event. Okay, so guys, I'm just telling you, this is hot rodent summer story. Okay,
Let's go.
so post event, obviously we're feeling great. Event, everybody's hyped up. All right, that had nothing to do with the story, but we're Kate, I don't remember why, but obviously Katie's in the pantry getting some stuff or whatever in the very top. So we have like by our fridge, we have these big doors that open like a pantry with shelves. You guys visualizing this?
I
yeah.
don't have to
This is-
visualize it. I know what it
I'm
looks like.
visualizing. Everyone, put this on your dream board, okay?
We've been there. Put pantry with shelves on their dream board.
Yeah.
All right. So top
And
shelf.
Hot Rodent Summer with Mike.
Top shelf. She's looking in there, and there's this whole bag of mushrooms, not mushrooms, marshmallows, totally devoured. Okay.
Dang.
Which personally, I'm thinking of doing me a favor because I don't think the kids should be eating these marshmallows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cameron has these sleepwalking episodes. I think, so I think he devoured them, and he's
I'm blaming it on the mouse. So, anyways, there's also evidence of rat poop. And then we're fine. Okay, so then she's like, "Hey, I think it got in here because there's a little hole in the ceiling of that cabinet where there's some wires, as if like you could put a light fixture that we've never noticed because that
He, like,
top shelf
swings
is so
down.
high." Yeah, exactly. It's like Mission Impossible, Mouse-tion Impossible, right? And so, anyway, she's like, "I think that's it." So I was thinking I would just seal it up or something, but I want to catch the mouse first. So I bought some rat. What do you call them? Mouse traps.
Oh yeah.
Mouse trap, peanut butter, because neighbor says use peanut butter. The guy doesn't touch the peanut butter. Okay. I don't know why.
He's a high-end
But-
mouse.
Then we're finding these little wood chip shavings. And she's looking at the doors, and like in the top shelf, like where the shelf would meet the door, the cabinet doors, there's like little bite marks where it was like obviously trying to get out. All right. Because it couldn't actually climb back up to the hole. My assumption was it could get out of the hole. Katie plugged it up. I unplugged it for the peanut butter, but I don't think it can go in and out because it's not eating the peanut butter. It was probably in there the whole time. Anyways, so
Just heating up.
he's trying to get out. We see the marks. And I think he's in the second shelf. He must have got down there. I can't remember if it's the second or top shelf. But anyway, so we pull out all the stuff. Okay. It's getting tense, right? I'm
Dude,
like,
don't tell
sweating.
me he ate the freaking ghost pepper salsa.
I'm sweating, right? Oh, yeah, we were like, maybe he would have died if he got this, right? I don't know. Anyway, so I take everything out, and then I see like a little movement because those little pads you put down to like, I don't know what you call it, the thin pad that you put to protect the surface of the wood from jars.
Yeah.
I see like it's like crumpled up because we put stuff in there, it moves. It's like it moves slightly. I'm like, oh, he's in here. So I'm slowly taking everything out, right? And then I see him. I'm like, all right.
Go down.
So I get a funnel. Like I have a funnel for like it's like for like a boiler or something. This big red funnel, and I just go real quick, bam, put it on top of him, so he can't get out. Kitty goes and gets a big box, I just very quickly scoop the whole thing into this big box so we can't get out. Mouse in the box.
Are you sure though? Did you open it to look and check?
Oh yeah, and then I grabbed it. I put a
Ooh.
glove on just because I didn't want to bite me. I don't know if it would matter or not, but I
Yeah.
put like a cut-proof glove on.
Yeah.
Grabbed him up, little tiny mouse, pretty cute.
How do you know it wasn't a mole?
No, it's definitely a mouse.
Did you name him?
I don't
Did
know what he
you-
identified as.
Now,
Did
did
I
you
name
give
him?
him to the chickens? Like, what did you do with this? Just let him
I named
scurry
him.
away?
I named him MC Hammer
I was thinking more like Stuart Little, but
But why?
that's not hot.
Why,
That's not hot rodent summer enough. So
why MC Hammer?
because first of all, I told him, "Look at this food in this pantry. You can't touch this." And then I smashed his head with a hammer.
hey,
So I wanted to give him to the cats so they would learn to get nice, but I'm like, you might just get away and then get back in. I didn't really want to kill it, but
Yeah.
what can you do?
hammer
right?
out of all choices.
It's just the most immediate thing that I had on my tool belt.
You should have
So
just
welcome to hot
given
rodent
him
summer.
to the rat snakes. You know, they would have loved that.
I think the woman who was animal sitting for us killed the rat snake though.
Oh, what?
It makes sense
What
why we have a
cheese?
mouse in there.
Oh,
See,
this
this is what
heating up. This
happens
is complex.
when you mess with the whole ecosystem here. You kill the rat snake, then what happens? You got a mouse, not quite a rat, but it's a mouse, you know?
Then you
And
gotta
then-
smash it in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, and
Then
and
your
then
arm
what?
is sore.
Then you got to give it to your chickens, so your chickens can eat it or something. I don't know.
So I threw it to the pigs.
Oh, okay, the pigs eat it. There you go. That's nice. Nice.
Circle of life.
Circle of. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, that's our own version of it. Yeah. So
brutal, but
so that's
You
what you
might-
meant by hot rodent summer, right?
yeah, for anybody who's like, oh, how could you kill that poor mouse? I'm like, how could you continue to participate in a system that creates poverty and war?
Bruh.
Think of all the people who live with like rodents eating their shit all the time, and they have to deal with that. Like I grew up when I was very young. I lived with my grandparents, but obviously I would visit them also before I lived with them, and they lived in a house that was like infested with rats, constantly, like rats. I'm talking about rats,
Really?
like rats, yeah, like constantly. And I remember like they would
Nasty.
catch them on the glue traps, and my uncles would go out there with like a golf club and come back with blood on the golf club.
Wow.
Glue
That-
trap. Wow.
Yeah. You can use glue traps so they get stuck on there and stuff. But somebody said I read like if you use that, they might gnaw their foot off to get out and then just bleed everywhere. So that sounds pretty.
That sounds pretty
that up.
gruesome. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Rats are savage. They're just like, I don't care.
Apparently.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Didn't you like grow up in a trailer park too, Cameron?
I grew up next to a trailer park. Well, I grew up. I mean, my grandparents they lived next to one, and my grandparents weren't even like poor. It was just like I don't know, just the
like old people sedentary,
Culture.
not changing.
no, like my grandpa still. I mean, my parents and grandparents are young compared to most people. Like my mom was 16 when she had me, so like
I think he's
that's
frozen.
grand- Oh,
There he is.
said-
You
I said my
froze in
mom
this
had me when-
position.
I said my mom had me when she was 16. So like my parents and grandparents are not as old as most people's parents and grandparents would be.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at that time, my grandfather was still working as an engineer.
Got it.
Wow.
Well,
So-
Wow.
yeah, Mitch, that's what
And
we
that's the
meant
hot
by-
rodent. Yeah, that's the hot rodent summer.
Exactly.
That's hot rodent summer. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So this is resolved. This is like the TikTok trend, right? Everyone's getting mice stuck in their house and then bashing them with a hammer.
That's
Yes.
it. That's how you
Okay,
get.
because there was like some video about Gen Z is really into hot rodent summer, and so I'm just wanting to make sure that I got that right.
That was it.
That's
That was
correct.
it. Just get a
Cool.
mouse, hit him with a
Okay.
hammer. That's it.
Okay,
Hey guys, by the
great.
way, it's the return of Rad Dad.
Oh,
Hey.
I want to say that for Christine's sake.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Oh yeah,
I want to
that's
say
the
Happy
thing.
Father's Day to all the women who've had to play both roles.
Yeah. So they
Totally
get
ignore the dads.
they get Mother's Day and Father's Day, right?
Yes.
Those women.
They get Mother's Day because they're women, and they get
Yeah.
Father's Day because they're women.
Yeah. They also get their birthday and then the father's birthday because they took over both roles.
Definitely get Christmas too.
Obviously, I mean, actually,
Can't not
some
get
fathers
Christmas.
get holidays. I don't know if you knew this, Mitch, but some fathers get holidays.
Oh, I didn't even know what that
And
is.
weekends. They get weekends. Yeah.
Oh,
But usually the mothers get Father's Day.
Got it. Okay, there's rules to this. So
That's how it goes. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, so that resolves hot rodent summer, I guess, for the most part. I mean, I did see
Well,
some other thing about these
Can
feminine looking
you rate
dudes.
us for those in the comments? Can you rate us on the scale, like each of us individual? Well, I don't know. Do we want to do top? Who's the most rodent or who's the least? By the way,
Oh
rodent
yeah,
is a good thing, I think. So if
Yes.
you're saying I
yeah.
look like a rodent, I feel like that's
Uh,
great.
Cam, I'm sorry. I think you're like least rodent in this.
Least, what am I? I'm like more bear cat.
Bearcat.
That's the first thing I could think of.
Yeah, bear
Bearcat.
or a polecat. More like a polecat. Yeah.
What's a polecat? Is that
I
the
don't know.
thing from the
Just type it
experiment?
into
skunk, right?
Google. Look at the images. It is
Polecat.
like,
Polecat. I don't know, man.
I think it's like
what are you
skunk or
thinking?
something.
More like a
That
badger?
polecat looks fun. Polecat looks, yeah, Cameron could be kind of badger. Kind of gives me eagle vibes too.
Badger, I like that.
Badger.
I
Yeah.
like to badger people.
Okay,
There you go.
polecats look
Yeah.
equally adorable, and like I would need to shoot that thing if it was on my property.
It kind of looks like a weasel, right? I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
like
I
a
haven't looked at
really
it in a-
adorable weasel,
Really
like
adorable weasel.
cuddly, but probably got some fangs and would kill all your chickens.
Mayor says Happy Father's Day. He'll join the club soon.
Hey.
I just want to ask.
Okay,
I have
Mayor
questions,
does not give me
Mayor.
rodent vibe.
You know what? Okay, you know what? I think Mayor's doing the You guys ever watch you know, actually, Cam, you sent us this Acolyte thing. Mitch, did you watch this thing? This Acolyte thing?
Oh, man.
Did I watch the new Star Wars
I
series? Is
actually
that what you're
like
asking
that
me?
Mitch doesn't watch the videos we send because then we get to tell him about it.
Did you
It's like
watch
reaction time.
the reaction
No,
to the
I
Acolyte?
watched the first 20 seconds and then Aristotle was coming over and I was like, I can't show him this at all.
Mitch is like,
You
Mitch is
can't
like,
even
I
hear
don't
this.
even like Star
All I
Wars.
heard is that there's lesbian space witches in Star Wars, and I don't know
Lesbian
if this
space
is true.
witches. Yes, that is fun,
And
right?
the fans are pissed, you know.
I
So-
literally don't care about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I did watch. Did I watch that new one? I feel like Katie and I went to like.
The theater?
Obviously, it would have been before Max was born.
Before
So
Max was
it would have
born,
been
yeah,
like
okay. So
the
that
one
new
with the black guy as the stormtrooper. That one?
Yeah,
yeah, that
Yeah.
one, the
That's
seventh
not new
one.
anymore.
It would be the seventh
It's
one.
like 10 years ago.
I'm just saying like that would have been the last one I watched,
Yeah.
and then I was just like, I
thing
don't.
is-
I feel like we watched it like at like Alamo Draft House or something because I
don't
wouldn't have
know.
gone to like the big. Oh, you guys don't have that. It's like a theater where you can like eat, where like they serve you food and stuff while you're watching the movie. It's pretty cool,
So
Way
like,
more efficient.
and it's like
Got a
really good food,
table?
like pizzas, burgers, like legit like restaurant food.
is this like Medieval Knights type of thing?
No,
Is
it's like a really cool little small theater. They have a few of them around Texas.
Do you know what
now.
I'm talking about? Medieval Knights?
The
yeah.
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's not that though.
Oh, okay. Mitch, you don't have Medieval Knights? I don't know if it's just
No.
like
Southern
you
thing.
do you have a Medieval Knights in Texas?
What? See, God
I
says
don't
they're
know. We've
Toronto?
seen it, but I don't know if it's
Toronto?
just because we went to Orlando or it was on the drive somewhere. I
Okay.
feel like there is one somewhere. I don't know if it's that specific brand though, or if it's just something similar.
Or is it
there's
like
there's
they serve
similar
you dinner
thing.
in a movie?
Well, no, it's not a movie. It's like a show. It's like a whole like
You
they'll
ever been
have
to
like
the Renaissance Festival
No.
where they do like all the like jousting and stuff and
Oh,
you've
yeah,
never been to a
fighting? It's like
Renaissance
that,
festival?
but it's like you're eating dinner in this round arena, and then they're putting on like a medieval
They
performance.
put on a whole show. There's like
Oh.
knights. You're on a team. There's horses. You know, and then you get like
Dang.
served food like you're a king. Literally, they bring you out chicken with no fork. No-
You're like,
yeah, like you're supposed to eat with your hands.
it's how my kids eat.
It's actually a lot of
Wow.
fun. I did that a couple times as a kid.
As a kid? 15,
It sounds
17
pretty awesome.
plus.
Like honestly, I would go there with the kids. Like I remember seeing it being like that would actually be pretty cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
So
Huh.
so that was your Alamo Draft House, but with a screen instead of like a full on.
and you're watching Star
So
Wars.
Alamo Draft House is nothing like that. It's a movie theater, and then the waiters come very quietly, and you place an order, and then they come back and refill your drinks or give you more food or whatever. And they have all kinds of tasty. Think of it like a high quality Chili's type food. you know, like that kind of food, but like it
That's like
tastes
an
good.
oxymoron.
No, but like,
high
but like,
that's like a
but like
think of
that
like a
style.
high quality McDonald's. Okay,
No, but like that
Okay,
style
hold
of
on.
food.
Okay, no,
Like an
You know, like
upscale.
the
McDonald's is
appetizers.
here. McDonald's is like down here. Chili's is above that.
I'm
but
not
still
saying that
shit.
kind of that quality of food.
No, I know
That
you
kind
said
of
high
food.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
think
like
of like a really
Applebee's.
high quality Applebee's.
Mm.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, Applebee's.
That was
Yeah.
even worse. What?
Yeah,
No,
actually, if you
Chili's
had to,
is- really?
if you had to eat at Applebee's for the rest of your life or Chili's, what would you choose?
Oh, not Chili's.
I would end it. I would end it immediately. Just
I would.
Applebee's. Okay, I remember as a kid. Who else remembers as a kid eating those grilled cheeses at restaurants? Did you like? Am I the only person who has any fucking
I'm sure I've
recollection
had
of
a
my
grilled
childhood?
cheese at a restaurant.
Listen,
I don't know where you
Mitchell.
No,
going with
but
this.
like Applebee's grilled cheese was like a very specific flavor. It was like very good as a
Oh,
child.
no,
I would not eat it right now. I would not give it to my son. It's fucked up.
I
But
could live off of if I had to. I would just eat those Southwestern egg rolls from Chili's like every day.
that would be better than
Really?
Applebee's. That would be
They're
better.
pretty good.
I think they're both probably just horrible. So I don't know.
See, you know what the best option would be? Cheesecake Factory. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Cheesecake Factory has some cool stuff.
Oh, okay.
It
Okay.
has way too much
Christine,
stuff. That's also kind of like suspect when you got
Christine
way
was
too many.
scaring me,
Christine
though.
said she's never been to Chili's, but she likes Applebee's.
she says she liked Applebee's. I think that's probably because she's never been to a Chili's.
See,
and
God,
Dude, the
I think I
last
know where
time-
Drake. I think I
the
know where
last
Drake's
time-
taking you out for Father's Day here. Okay, he's like, hey, thanks for supporting me.
Oh,
as a
happy
father.
Father's Day, Christine.
Yeah.
Oh, she's not a single mother.
No,
What are you
but she
doing
just
here?
has to deal with all your shit too, while raising Hazel. So.
The last time I had Applebee's was 2004 in Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh, was there aliens there?
Oh,
That
man.
you remember that.
I felt like the food was
Exactly.
made for extraterrestrials. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Why were you
I've
in
never
Roswell?
been in New Mexico.
I went to school there for a year.
Oh,
I went to a military school there.
Air Force?
Yeah.
Before that,
Did,
Oh,
did
okay,
you
okay,
have
okay.
to shave your head in military school, Cameron?
they don't shave it, but they cut it very short. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
when you're in basic training, they always buzz it all the way down. Yeah. I don't know if you call it shaving it. It's not like bald.
Buzz, whatever. Yeah, crew cut.
Yeah, buzz. Yeah.
We got to see a picture of Cameron back in the day in army, military school.
Yeah. If
that's
I had
hilarious.
pictures, I would show you.
So you
I
don't
actually
have
keep
pictures of that.
Wow,
I don't have any that I'd like to show
Dang.
you.
This
lost
is
to
very,
history.
very Bridget Macron of you to not have any photos of yourself.
Seriously, it's 10 years from now, you're gonna see people they're gonna be around in the press like Cameron's a transgender woman and has no pictures of him from his childhood.
Right.
He says his mom is this one, but he says this person's his mom and this is his dad, but this person's his dad.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
Try to do the genealogy.
He's got like different brothers and sisters from all different people, and like it seems very weird.
I think the difference between you and Bridget Macron is you probably would not give a fuck. You'd be like, all right, like I'm not gonna send the FBI or the Secret Service to your home to destroy your lives just because you're saying I'm a tranny. Oh, never mind.
I would just punish them by making them eat at Applebee's every day.
Oh, wow, what a tyrant. What a despot.
This Father's Day, treat your family to Applebee's.
If you really dislike them,
If you really hate your family, if you really want your wife to leave.
Man. Okay, so hang on. Hot Rodent Summer is a thing, though. Okay. I think people need a picture of this so they can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, it was just some stupid video I saw where they were talking about they're rating guys
Where's
based
the,
on how much of a rodent they look like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a hot thing.
These
Yeah.
people. Okay, here we go. I
Oh,
share my
wait.
screen, Drake.
No, it's not you. Anyone but you. Go ahead.
Are we live yet?
Oh,
Here we go.
Please. All right.
you can get a better picture. You brought the
Look at them.
smallest photo
Look at
that you
this.
could possibly find. What is this?
Why is it so
Look.
small? Maybe scroll forward.
No. It's
Or is this a
just-
screenshot?
It's that small. It's that small. Listen, Mitchell.
Look at him.
Hot rodents.
This live footage. This left one is the one Cameron found in his cupboard.
Yes. Oh man.
This
rest in
one
peace.
looks like a rodent, really? Yeah, damn.
I kind of
This
actually.
top
Yeah.
right one doesn't really look like a rodent. He looks too He looks inflamed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But
I
it's
don't
like they're
know.
not supposed to be very like jacked or anything. They're
The
kind of like
bottom right guy for sure. That's a rodent. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
bottom left too looks a bit. I don't know, dude. They'll look,
this is like
look
the new
empty.
like AI test whenever you're like trying to enter a website and it's like click the rodents and you're like
Back when I was
Yeah.
growing up, it was like you'd call them a reptile, like Hillary Clinton and them and Mark Zuckerberg. Now it's like rodents, times have changed.
click on the reptile. That's funny.
Yeah. And just in case you wanted to see it, this is a polecat.
Oh, I thought there
Ah,
was some kind of like
see?
skunk
Yeah.
or something.
Really, it
Cute
looks like a
yet
ferret. It looks like a
Looks like a
ferret.
cute yet
ferret or
shootable,
something.
Yeah.
So
Really
I don't know.
cute.
So now everyone knows what a hot rodent is, and I am not participating in hot rodent summer. That
You're
is-
not, but
No, because
you're a hot
it's
rodent. You're very, very like you give me those Ratatouille vibes, you know?
I've never even fucking seen Ratatouille, so how would
I
I
think it's
know
all.
what
I
that
think
is?
it has to do with the eyes. Like the closer your eyes are. I think Mitch has
I thought it
more
had
of
to do with
that
the
than either of
nose.
us.
Oh,
Yeah,
Probably, I'm sure.
I thought it
Sure
was
it's
the
a lot.
nose.
okay.
I thought it was
Everyone,
the nose.
go close to the camera, and we're gonna see whose eyes are most close to each other. Okay, Drake.
No, yours are the closest.
Drake, yours are, I don't know.
Yours are the closest.
Drake's I
Cameron.
would say are even.
Yeah. See, even.
Drake's go more like that.
Hey, that's
But he's-
racist.
it's 'cause
Okay.
he's Chinese.
All right. I am 1/8 Chinese. Okay. It's all right here.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what makes it a rodent.
Anyway,
So
it's
that's a
did you
trend.
did you guys see that Candace and Piers Morgan interview?
No,
Yeah.
Very
I haven't watched any Candace Owens recently.
well. You're missing out.
When she went super Catholic, I was like,
Her
boring,
justification
pass.
for it was very like, how do I say retarded? Like if I was what's the word? Steel manning it,
Yeah.
right? Steel manning her
Steel-manning.
argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, new word.
There's also Chelsea Manning an argument.
Is that when you drink it out of existence? You just
Do you know who Chelsea Manning is?
uh
You're thinking of Chelsea Handler.
yeah, I am thinking of her.
Chelsea, hold on. Do you guys know who Chelsea Manning is?
No, who's Chelsea Manning? I've heard that.
Holy shit! I'm about to blow your
I know
mind.
I know what her face looks like, but I don't know
No,
what
no,
like I don't
no.
know
Look
about
up
her.
Chelsea. You don't know. You don't understand what I'm saying right now. Like, look it up.
Oh,
Oh, who's that? That's a guy.
oh no, I don't know.
Is that Peyton? Is that Peyton Manning?
You
No,
guys, I
Eli.
would have assumed you knew this. I would have assumed you knew
Who's
this.
Chelsea Manning? It's some sergeant or some other thing in the military that's now a woman.
Yeah,
Sure.
remember Bradley Manning? It was like kind of like an Edward Snowden thing. It was like one of those really big ones where they got caught stealing some classified information.
So he
It
had
was
to
like a
become a
huge.
woman?
It was like almost at the level of Edward Snowden.
Whoa.
No, like they went to prison. He
And
went to prison and
then
became trans in prison.
What? How do you become trans
crazy.
in prison?
It's crazy shit, man.
Who's paying for
it's
that?
not that hard.
Might have
Well,
become
who's-
Muslim too. I don't know.
Muslim
What?
trans.
What?
Wow.
Might
That's
as
so
well.
conflicting.
Are there Muslim
Is it?
trans people? Let me
Is it
Google this.
I mean, think about it. Your mind gets
Oh boy.
so confused that you like become a Muslim tranny. That is like whoa.
Trans Muslim youth is the only thing I see. Advocatesforyouth.org.
Wow.
It's not clear. Do
Uh,
How do I?
I dare? Oh, I'm just gonna close this page. I didn't know what Steel Manning was either. Okay,
Here,
so what is Chelsea Manning?
let me
in
let
your
me just
context?
share this real quick so everybody else can see what we're talking about. This is Chelsea Manning. This is Chelsea Manning as a child. This is Chelsea Manning in her youth. This is Chelsea Manning cosplaying as Bradley Manning.
Yeah, and apparently she was a whistleblower.
Yeah, whistleblower thing. I
I'm
don't really
sure.
know the whole story, but
I'm sure she blows whistles.
like in the military marching band, or
Yeah, definitely
Understand.
marching band
Understand
vibes.
the
Never mind,
reference
never mind. Like Close. Never mind. All right. Wow, no, I
So
didn't
what does that
know.
mean in the context of what were
Chelsea
we saying
Manning.
before? Well, no, but like you're saying you're steel manning an argument.
Steel Manning Catholicism.
Oh yeah, Candace Owens. What about Candace Owens?
Cameron.
Someone started Candace.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me show you these real
Oh,
quick
I
because
thought he was frozen.
Katie just sent me
Starlink.
these. All right, just for your curiosity's sake, she actually has evidence that I was in the
Oh,
military.
okay,
Hey,
look at
look at
this
this.
guy.
So there you go.
Look,
I'm not.
I can't see your face here.
Look, July
Is there someone
2004.
next to you?
Are you
Damn.
wearing
That's a
like
no.
Come
That's
on,
a
camouflage or
camo.
tree.
something?
I'm standing next to a tree.
I can't even see you. Where are you?
I don't have a. This was my first. This is my blackface.
I only see hands. I only see hands and a gun.
This is blackface. Right. So there you go. So it was
Wow.
real.
Wow.
Okay, no, that's
Now we know.
I don't know how
definitely.
Katie got these.
You know, you look like a young Bill Clinton in that photo to the right.
Really? I've never seen a young Bill Clinton.
He looks like a young Bill Clinton.
No, that was
Oh
Bill
yeah,
Clinton.
hang on, young Bill
Oh, that was
Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Where? I thought you were showing us photos of you. What the
Are
hell?
you talking about this one?
Yeah. Doesn't that? Come on, Mitch.
Kind of.
it's
I
the
mean,
ro-
kind of
it's-
the
It,
smirk
it's
is
the
kind of
rodent.
like
It's the
that.
rodent eyes. It's the rodent
You
eyes.
don't have rodent features.
No, no. Here's why: because the hair looks different, right? Okay, hold on.
That's a young Bill.
Whoa, young
Hold
Bill
on.
and Hillary.
Let me try.
Oh my God!
That's
Someone
Hillary
has
to
to.
the right. That's Hillary in the bow tie.
Hang on. This is some crazy shit. This is young. I put in the chat. Someone has to upload this.
Mm.
What?
Oh,
Young
okay.
Bill and young Hillary. That is
Wow.
weird.
That's AI.
Credit Corbis Sigma Politico.
Wow. I
Politico
mean, you can.
magazine.
Or I'll right. So everybody has to start somewhere.
He gives me like young Mark Zuckerberg vibes. You
He
know,
gives
it's got
me
like that
young
dorky
young
shit.
me vibes.
Yeah, he does look like young you. That's what I'm trying to say. That's
It's
what I'm
the
trying to say.
mouth. It's the
It's the
mouth. It's the
mouth.
weird
It's the mouth
offset
and the
smirk.
nose. It's the mouth and the nose.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Wow.
So
So now
Prince
that we know about
Andrew.
Cameron's past. So what about Candace Owens though?
Oh, like her basic
Catholic.
argument for she said she talked to her husband one time and he was like, if you want to know the like something like, do you want to know real history? Study the Catholic Church or something like that. And then she kind
Yeah.
of vaguely said
Like you'd
something
be a
like,
Catholic or something like that. And I didn't understand him at that time. And
and then
then
like, you know, you study history and then you realize like, and then you learn about the evil in the world and demons and stuff. And it's like, okay, so it just seems kind of like because there's a lot of evil in the world and like I don't know, like it wasn't like a clear she's like explaining why. It was just more
she
like a
didn't
vague
explain.
like
She was
she
just
didn't
like,
explain
if
it.
you studied history, you'd be a Catholic too. And
And
that's
then
all I'm gonna say about that.
right. And it was like, okay. I mean,
Why? That is some
I was thinking
crazy
about
shit.
this though. Check this out. Because yeah, if you actually study the Bible and you study the freaking creation of the
James
Bible, you'll
Tabor.
realize like, yeah, James, just go fucking study your James Tabor, Candace Owens.
Have James
Right?
Tabor on the show, Candace Owens.
Seriously, have James Tabor on the show. You won't be a Catholic after that.
For sure.
You won't be a Christian after that.
Might be an Ebionite.
Dude, but I was thinking about it, like, okay, so if you study James Tabor and he explains how he never really says one way or the other what the truth he thinks it is. He's just showing you like, hey, what people think doesn't really make sense actually, because if you study the history of it, like that's not really what it says or whatever. But he seems to imply that there was an original movement where Jesus was a part of it. It was a messianic movement, which messianic just meant someone who's like chosen by God to sort of be a leader of the people of God. You know, like almost like a prophet, but not quite exactly the same thing. It doesn't mean like the savior of man. It's not what Messiah means in that context. It's more just like it's like a leader that's going to step forth, that's chosen by God, that has the blessing of God to like lead the people against the evils of the world or something. That's essentially what it's like. So it was almost like John the Baptist was leading an ethical movement, and Jesus joined that movement, and they were all working together in this movement that had to do with ethics rather than, which ties into, if you study destiny and you look at the whole point, it's like, okay, Jesus was basically saying we need to change the system. It's not best for all. Maybe not in those exact words, but essentially like, we're here on earth, we're trapped in these pictures that we believe as ourselves because we're like buying into our programming. It's like, imagine you're in this body, it's programmed in a certain way to perceive things in a certain way, and then you buy into that perception.
That reminds me of an interview that I listened to on Equoff that was like, uh, people actually think that they're like human beings actually think they're alive. And it's just like an interesting offhand comment. And I don't remember which interview it was specifically, but it was an offhand comment that was like, human beings actually think that they're alive, like they have this consciousness that they believe to be them. And the comment that was being made was basically like, that's why Anu was basically afraid of his own creation, because he's like, I didn't want to get trapped in that. And that's also why demons had so much power, because they could just go and possess somebody. They could like take control of a body essentially, and they weren't worried about getting trapped in that. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I was just looking at the Jesus article on responsibility on destiny.
Mhm.
I'm like, people will not be able to process this. Um, but let's just say Jesus was a guy. There's more to it than this, but let's just say he's a guy who was like, hey, the system that we live in is fucked. It's because you guys don't realize who you really are, and we need to change the system so it's best for everybody. Because you give as you want to receive, right? Oh, Jesus said that. Everyone can agree with that, right? Well, but how do you actually give as you want to receive in the current world that we live in? It's definitely not charity. Like, it's not, well, if I was homeless, I'd want to be someone to give me a meal or something. Sure, but that's not,
Like a consequence on a consequence. Like,
it's like, okay, but why not? Okay, would you want to be homeless? If you were a child, would you want to become homeless at some point as an adult? So how do you prevent that? That would be giving as you actually want to receive, of like giving to each child that's born here what you as each child would want to receive as like a life here on earth. So you have to take it all the way. Not just, yeah, like you said, not just looking at the consequence and be like, well, if I was, if I had a cut, I'd want a band-aid, like, yeah, okay, but that's not like why there's like this machine over here cutting people. You could just turn it off. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, right? So imagine that fits in with even what James Tabor is saying, right? That there was this ethical movement, right? And like, when Jesus died, because let's say he was challenging the status quo, political, whatever. I mean, look at what they're doing to Trump. Look at what they're doing to lots of different people that like kind of fuck with the way things are, right? Um, the system will come down on that person, right? And then if everyone who was following them isn't really processing what they were saying, they're not really totally clear on, you know what I mean? Like, they were learning. Like, this person was at a level where they really clearly understood the point they were trying to explain to people, right? So some people might have understood, some people might not have understood. Even if there were other
and whatever.
Even if there were the others who completely understood, the problem is we only now know what's in the Bible or what's in the structure of the church. You don't know what those people thought because they weren't going along with that. Like, so imagine some marketing team comes in and they're like, all right, here's what we're going to say Jesus was doing. The people then couldn't have competed with it, right? But here's the point I was thinking about. So there's this whole thing about like, okay, Paul comes in. We talked about this before, right? Paul comes in and he makes it about like being saved by Jesus's resurrection and belief in him and all this stuff, which was not technically what was originally part of the movement. And he gets Peter to go along with that. And then if you read whether he actually physically got Peter or not, doesn't matter. That's the story. Who does Peter become? And if you study, because I went
the
to
founder of the Catholic Church.
Right. So I went to Catholic school, right? So they taught us like you can trace every pope all the way back to Peter, right?
Wait, how does this
They
how does
keep
this
a
work?
file. They keep a file.
But hold
They,
on.
they call it
Is
that.
the
Seriously,
Pope
they call
okay?
it the Peter file.
Okay. So you got original Peter, right? Peter goes to Rome, Vatican, wherever. He's like, hey, this is where the church is going, right?
Well,
At what
no,
point do they become celibate? Is the Pope celibate? Because how's this Pope having kids and expanding his?
He's
no,
not
no, no.
How
It's
do you
not. It's
trace
not
every
like
Pope?
they're not like
This does
genetically
not make sense.
related. They're not genetically
Oh, wait. Oh,
like, as in like.
right. 'Cause it's not like
I mean,
sons
from
or
that
something.
perspective, what exactly is the lineage? Because don't they just vote
What
on
the
the
fuck
next
is the
guy?
Peter file then? They're like, oh, they have a dream. Wait, can you explain the Peter file to me?
it's a joke. Peter file.
Are you serious? Oh my God, Cameron, you got me so good.
No, but the part I said about you could trace the lineage back is correct, not genetic. But when I think
Okay,
about it,
Rich,
I don't really know
so
how the connection it
so they
works
do
because
have a
the
way
Cardinals
to
vote
trace the
on the,
lineage?
but not genetically. It's like this Pope. I don't understand
Blood
what that even
sacrifice.
means exactly. That's just what we were told. Like this Pope chooses the next Pope, chooses the next Pope. So it's like an unbroken like line of like all the way back to the original Pope
Oops.
somehow. Even though the church split off, there's an Eastern Orthodox. I don't know. Like it sounds like bullshit to me, but they just are really certain about claiming they are the ones who are directly, you know, the
It's sort of
spiritual
like
lineage.
it's sort of like, when you read Foundation, right? And there's an emperor of the empire, and then the mayors of Y, they're like, but we're actually the true,
Right.
emperors. And it's like, no, it's an unbroken line of generation after generation. It doesn't actually make sense.
It doesn't. Anyways, but here was my point.
Apostolic succession, Cameron. That's the term,
Yes.
okay? I give you a fucking
Yes.
F. Peter fucking file.
Do you still not get the joke?
No, I get it, I get it.
Mitch is just mad that
No,
he
no.
went, he fell for
I need to
it.
know, do you actually get the joke?
I thought you just made up a term. I don't know. No, but is Peter file like a reference to something else?
Yes. To like the Pope in the Catholic Church. I'll
Peter
I'll talk
files.
about that. We'll talk
Oh,
about
that
it.
was hilarious. Oh
All
shit.
right.
Wow, that's so good. Damn, Cameron, your
I
dad
didn't
jokes
want to
on
have to
Father's Day.
explain it,
I
but I
think on
had
Father's
to.
Day, your dad jokes get
The
amplified
ultimate dad joke.
to some other
Um,
level.
okay, so what were we talking about? Oh
Well, it's
yeah,
funny because they
here
aren't
was my
dads.
but here's my point though. They aren't dads. How would they ever know?
Well, but
Happy
they're called
Father's Day
father.
to
That's
everyone who
fucking
isn't a
weird.
priest.
But they call them father.
I
So
know
fucking
it's
weird.
fucking weird, dude.
That's so
It's
fucking
it's
weird.
really weird.
Father.
Anyways,
Man, ah.
Jesus was challenging the Roman Empire. Remember, even Ben Shapiro said he was a Jew who like tried to overthrow the Roman government and got put in prison or got killed for his troubles. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to overthrow the Roman Empire. So then Paul, who was a Roman citizen who was persecuting Christians, came, had a conversion, and then totally subverted the whole thing to be about this, like, basically believing in a higher power. And then follow it along. What do we call the church today?
What do we call it?
The
The
Roman
Vatican?
Catholic Church.
Oh, the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah.
And there was the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Yeah,
if you start like when we studied, I mean, to a certain degree, that I guess I understand that point about if you want to understand history, because when I took like I went to a Catholic school and we studied the church, like we had 4 classes, one each year, right? And the first one's like, actually I don't remember what the first one was, but there was one where we read the whole Bible and went through it piece by piece. There was one where we learned about all the details of the religion itself, and part of that was the history. And it was like Charlemagne and how that was like with the Pope, and like, and there was like this alliance between the Roman Empire and the church, and that's why you get the Holy Roman Empire. And so in other words, my point is, for anyone who doesn't really get the point about the system subverted Jesus's message to like enslave you into the system more, like literally the system Jesus was against, so to speak, the Roman Empire, the church that used his message became the holy fucking Roman Empire. And then today it's still based in Rome. And like, how do you not fucking see that? Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, it's like with
Wow.
everything. Like we get this.
But maybe
Okay,
people don't know the history. They don't understand what's the Holy Roman Empire. So I actually had to study that shit when I was in school. Like the actual development of it went from Roman Empire to Holy Roman Empire, and that was like, you know how we think of like the U.S. as an empire, the fucking Catholic Church combined with the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, and it was like you had the leader of that, the emperor, and the Pope was like kind of like the, you know, it's like Israel has a prime minister and a president. I don't know, like whatever. Like you have these two figures that are like sort of the power people in the group in the thing. That was like the empire, dude. Was the fucking Catholic Church was like the
so
empire.
so the Roman Empire actually never fell. It
That's what I'm trying
just,
to say. It literally just took Jesus and went to the next level.
yeah, wow,
Damn. And
That's
then
that's
what
my
was
point.
that thing?
very smooth.
What was the Inquisition and what was the thing when they went to go try and conquer the world? You know, they like send people to South America and shit. What is that called?
That was much later though.
Um,
So there was like, you know, they have Jesuits, which actually the Catholic school I went to is run by Jesuits. So
shit. What is
they're
it?
like the sort of like they're okay. You have like in with priests, you have different orders. And so it's like their orders will be centered around some particular thing, like, oh, they just take a vow of poverty and they pray all day or something like that. And like the Jesuits are the ones that kind of go out and like establish shit. And they're kind of like I don't know how to explain it. They're like the
enforcers.
conquerors. Yeah, they're like kind of like the like the SEAL team of the
Mm,
Catholic Church. Like they go out and they like get shit done and like they create shit. And, you know, they go out and they like find the heathens and start whipping them and converting them and stuff. So
got it. Well,
the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. Yeah, look it up. They're
Okay,
like the fucking hardcore like yeah, Navy SEALs of the Catholic Church. What are you gonna say, Drake?
so apparently at its height, the Roman Empire covered 2.3 million square miles, right? And then today, the largest landowner in the world is the Roman Catholic Church. So I
all for the
mean,
glory of God, Drake.
But they can't solve poverty.
or for Rome. The glory of Rome.
Like do you
Yeah.
guys not see it, everybody? Like the Pope is just the Roman Emperor.
Yeah.
Can you look up Holy Roman Empire?
Hang on. Because I'm
Okay.
seeing 177 million acres, right? Okay, no, this is different. This says 2.3 million square miles. Okay, so
Oh, they
it's
got wow, they had that flag with the two-headed eagle too, really? Damn.
Holy Roman Empire, you said?
I'm just saying like there's a whole history. So I kind of I guess I understand where she's going with that of like if you study the history of the world, you know, you'll be
Look at their
Catholic or whatever.
freaking
But that to me is like, how is she not seeing like, hey, aren't
look
you
at
like
this thing.
questioning the system? No, she's not.
Look at this fucking logo.
That's pretty
God
That
damn,
insane.
on a sports
that looks
team.
like a fucking
That
like,
sports team looks like it's came to play.
Can you imagine?
Jesus, it's got red eyes and breathing fucking fire.
Can you imagine you're a soccer team and this
And
is
Jesus
your
is dead in the middle.
okay,
He's
guys, I
literally
don't
like,
have
hey,
any
motherfucker, we killed this guy. Don't forget.
I don't have any tattoos, but I might get that on my back.
right? If you were a NASCAR driver and you
Dude.
had this on the hood of your car,
Literally,
You could
look
never
at
lose.
that.
you
Right in the
can
middle.
never
What is
fucking
like
lose.
what is this actually impulsing? Is like, look,
Oh
buddy, don't
man.
ever fucking challenge us again.
Wow.
Wow. That's nuts.
Seriously.
Wait, Cameron. So when you're going through home, Catholic school, whatever, what is their like general take on Jesus? Is it just like accept that this dude was resurrected and you're okay now as long as you pray and give us money?
Dude, it's very confusing. It's like, you know, it's funny because we studied all kinds of I remember in literature class we studied like Calvinism. You know, if you went to like Drake went to private school, right? So it's like you kind of probably know what I'm talking about. You study like a little bit, you study shit, right? You learn about actual shit. But I remember in Calvinism, I
I
think it was
went to a private
Calvinism.
school, just for clarification's sake. I went to a private school for elementary, and we did study
Okay,
shit.
so you
We
guys
did,
learned about
yeah.
Calvinism back then, right?
It was for first and second grade.
Okay, I thought you went to private like a prep school for high school.
No,
Um,
I went to a magnet program though.
okay, so I went to like a legit like prep school, like elite high school. Okay, Catholic, Jesuit, um, and what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Calvinism. Like, I'm not pretending to be an expert on it, but it's like with Calvinism, from what I remember, that it was like a later movement. It was like an American religious movement, right? And they're like, basically, God predetermines everything. Who is going to be saved or not is totally predetermined. You can't know if you're saved or not. You're either one of the saved ones or you're not. And basically, if you are saved, you're probably going to do stuff that shows that you're saved.
Oh, just like Jehovah's Witnesses.
I don't know. I don't know anything about them,
I'm pretty
but
sure that's what they
maybe it's the same. But with
something similar.
Catholicism, it's like, yeah, you have to believe in Jesus. You have to accept their forgiveness. You have to do all these rituals, but also you have to be ethical in a way, according to their ethics or their morality or whatever. So you can't just be like, well, I'm saved, and like you don't have to be a good person. But the thing is, the way they define the morality when you actually study it isn't be a good person, like I just said. It's not like, oh, be kind to people, help people, anything like that. It's like, here's a list of all the things that are, if you do them, immoral. So one of them being like, there's certain holidays. I forget exactly what they're called, like feast days, like Christmas maybe or Easter or something. You have to go to church on those days if you're like following Roman Catholicism properly. Like there's certain days where it's like considered I could be wrong, but I think it's considered a mortal sin. Like a mortal sin is like you die, you've committed this sin, you die, you're not going to heaven. Like you're fucked.
Now I see why they react so hard.
But it's not, and they're like, I don't know what all of them, maybe, I mean, we could look them up. I don't know what they are exactly.
Mortal sin. Wow.
Mortal sin, a gravely sinful act which can lead to damnation if a person does not repent of the sin before death. Okay, so I guess you can get out of it. So you could still repent though. A sin
You
against
just
is an
break all
offense.
of them. End your life, you got like 24 hours left. You're like, all right, repenting all these. Boom, I'm in.
Check
People
this
are like
out. Check this
gaming the
out.
system.
Check this out. All sin is an offense against God and a rejection of his perfect love and justice. Yet, Jesus makes a distinction between two types of sin. We call the most serious and grave sins mortal sins. Mortal sins destroy the grace of God in the heart of the sinner. That's some weak shit, man. By their very grave nature, a mortal sin cuts our relationship off from God and turns man away from his creator. None of this in any actual real physical sense, obviously, just like in a spiritual way that you can't measure. Okay. But did you notice how we just kind of glossed over it? Said Jesus makes a distinction between two types of sin.
Yeah.
Look at that sentence. St. Paul's letter to the Hebrews tells us, if we sin willfully after having the knowledge of the truth, there is now left no sacrifice for sins. So when they say Jesus tells us this, it's really Paul said it, that Jesus told him this shit after Jesus died and came back. So
Paul said it when he never met Jesus. It was just like a hallucination dream that he had. He was like,
dude, how many Catholics are there?
I don't know, a lot.
Let's look it up.
And then I guarantee you,
worth.
I guarantee you there's another bunch that are just Christian generally who just believe the stuff in the Bible that's all influenced by Paul. They're Catholic whether they realize it or not. They might have some small distinctions, but they're still going along with the stuff.
Yeah.
What? There's 1.3 billion
Catholics or Christians?
Catholics. Christians is like 2 something.
It's like half the Christians.
Yeah, you want to know how to get all that real estate.
Bro,
if you study history.
billion?
How many Christians?
Wow. I think if you studied history, you would be a realtor for the.
And then Christians total is 2.63 billion.
Oh wow. Man, okay. Wow, I'm having a flashback when I was a kid. So
that's like half.
I went to this like Lutheran church. It was like very watered down, all this stuff, kind of like, if you're good, you're good. Jesus did something.
Did they have the 95 thesis tacked to the door?
Yeah, well, no. But
wait, what did you say?
Aunt,
did they have the 95 thesis tacked to the door?
Nah, they were just like, hey, be a good person, right? So, but my uncle and aunt went to Catholic church, So like occasionally we would go there because there was like someone's baptism or something. And I remember being there and like it was time for the communion. And in the church I grew up in, it was like, oh, everyone gets the communion, as long as you're cool, whatever. And then in the Catholic church, I remember my mom being like, stay seated. Like, I don't think we can go up there. And I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, wow, they must, there's something different
You're not
here.
allowed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You
I just
didn't
remember there
you
being
didn't
that
do the
serious.
rituals over there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They seem like really fucking strict and hardcore.
I,
Wow.
I would
It,
go up.
Flashbacks.
I would go up for the communion because we had to. Like they made because I went to a Catholic
Catholic?
private
Oh, okay.
school.
Oh,
And so like in second grade, they made everybody go up. All the kids have to go up. We went to freaking church on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Sundays. It was terrible. Like in the middle of class, or not even classes. It'd just be like in the middle of the day. It'd be like, all right, now we got mass. Like, no, this is the worst. Anyway, um,
dang.
they'd march us all up, but I still didn't take communion because I didn't do the whatever thing that you're supposed to do at that age. They're supposed to like you're supposed to do some sort of specific, like you pledge your life and all this stuff. And I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. No, it wasn't just communion. I think it was like first communion, maybe is what it's called,
Probably.
right? Confirmation. That's it. Confirmation.
confirmation is when you're confirmed into the faith.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna abstain. I'm not really into it like that.
Check this out. I'm just reading through stuff like why are priests called father?
Yeah.
And one says CatholicExchange.com says it's just like a blur from it. It says actual celibacy frees a priest to be a generous father for his spiritual children.
Mm.
Like, why is this
Pretty
guy
interesting.
fucking like the father of me spiritually? Just because he went to school.
And he isn't having sex.
He's never had a child. He doesn't know what it takes
It's
to
like
raise a
you have
child.
no idea what being a father is. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, no, I'm caring for you. It's like, no, in my estimation of it, the father provides the money for the children. I think you guys got it backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pay your
Legit.
dad. You're writing your dad's
Legit.
paycheck.
Hold on, I want to show you guys
Talk
this
about
real
the
quick.
hierarchy of heaven
I love
right
how this
there.
all just started with like a question of like, did you guys see the Candace Owens thing? What's this?
Check this out. So,
Listen
so
to
the
them.
second type of sin is venial sin of a less grave matter. It doesn't cut us off from Christ. It does weaken grace in the soul and damages our relationship with God. A person who frequently indulges in venial sins is very likely to collapse into mortal sin if they persist in their evil ways. So there's this whole arbitrary thing of like, so we have the mortal sin, which totally cuts you off from God and destroys the grace in your heart. But the venial sin sort of weakens the relationship. And you're like, is anybody able to measure any of this? Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Like actually, like a bridge, I could be like, if I remove
Wait,
that brick, we can test the
wait.
stress and the forces
I
and stuff. It's weakening it.
I think I know who can measure this. If you were
Candace
to
Owens?
watch episode 3 of The Acolyte, I think you would find that the lesbian witches can measure that thread. They said so themselves. They said it's not even the force, actually. It's the thread. And they can cut that thread, or I don't
Is
know
this
what
the
they do.
plot twist in Star Wars now? They're not doing the Force?
Dude, the plot twist is that none of it makes sense. Like if you were to read a book, let's imagine, Mitchell, you read a book, and I'm not even into Star Wars like that, right? But you read a
Okay.
book,
Chapter
and you're
1.
and you're like, man,
Long
I
time
really
ago.
love this book. This is like, I love the storyline here. Like this all makes sense. I can see where it's going. And
Dude,
then
okay, go ahead. Sorry, I just realized something based on what you're saying. Yeah.
the author just decides to have like a stroke or something. And then
Mm.
every character is like doing the exact opposite of what their character would do. And you're like, this doesn't even make like, and it just like completely destroys like the continuity of the story that you're
Mm.
reading. You're like, it would be like, okay, it'd be like, you ever read Philip K. Dick and like it kind of gets kind of weird,
Yeah.
right? That makes more fucking sense than any of this shit. It's like,
Oh shit.
Wow.
it's like, it would be like Philip K. Dick went schizophrenic on top of his schizophrenia again, and just like,
Wow.
like I don't know how to describe it because
No, it's like
it would be like, okay, Aristotle were to like you're writing a story and then Aristotle comes in and he's like, yeah, but like I'm gonna write this story the way I want
No,
to,
no,
and
no. What it
doesn't
actually
agree.
is like you actually want to subvert it. You want it to say something else, and you want a certain message to get across, and you don't really care about keeping it consistent with the past. You're just trying to utilize this thing that is popular in order to push a new agenda.
But
That's what you're doing.
hold on. Not even with consistency with the past, because apparently it doesn't even make sense within its own episode. Like they're just
Yeah,
contradicting
but it
itself.
doesn't matter. Like you don't care about that. Like you're
That,
just angry at men. You're trying to push an agenda.
yeah, well, that obviously,
The
right?
woman who wrote the fucking who directed the whole thing and the showrunner or whatever they call it is a lesbian.
Shocker.
Yeah, surprise. And like so like again, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't care about Star Wars. It's like I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, I watched it a bunch when I was a kid. My uncles were super into it. They're like 10 plus years older than me. So they like when it came out, it was like they were like, kids or whatever at the time. I was only getting it from them. Right. So it wasn't like something I personally cared about per se, but um I didn't care when they made the new ones. I didn't care when they made the new ones. I don't care what they're doing now. Like I don't my kids don't watch Star Wars. They couldn't fucking tell you maybe they could probably tell you about Yoda. They only know about Yoda probably because I watched Spaceballs with Max. And I had to explain to him the context of why Spaceballs is funny. You know what I mean? Um,
What do they call them? Yogurt?
yeah, yeah.
I
That movie's pretty funny, by the way. If you like
don't
dad
think I've ever
jokes,
watched it.
it's pretty good. Watch it with Max. Like he laughs so much at every joke.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so
That's great.
so what was I saying?
They
What?
did that in Dune too.
What?
They turned it into like all about the
Right,
women,
right,
women
yeah,
versus
yeah,
men kind
exactly.
of thing.
They're just
Like,
taking
totally
it.
changed the ending of the-
She said they did the same thing to Dune, where they just like subvert the whole thing.
Oh.
So if you actually read the book, it's not what's in the show per se. Like there's things that are changed, right? So um the people who like Star Wars a lot, like really, really, really a lot, are nerds. Okay. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean it like people who like to get really focused on the details of something and learn everything about it. It's like you don't have to even be nerdy to be a nerd. You know what I mean? Like nerdy in the stereotypical way. You could just like really get obsessed with stuff and like be interested in the details and explaining it, right? Like um now they call it autistic. You know what I mean? But like that's just bullshit. Uh so what's interesting about the whole acolyte thing is they're trying to take this nerdy thing and like they're okay. First of all, they make a shitty show. I haven't watched it. I don't care. Let's assume it's right. They're right. It's a shitty show they did. They crappy writing. It's not good. And then all the nerds are like, "Hey, you're fucking with like all of the details of like." You know what I mean?
What
It'd be
makes
like
this
if
work?
someone made a new, if they did like an Isaac Asimov movie, and then
It's
they
someone
made
made like iRobot and like it didn't even have Robbie in it or any of the three laws of
um,
robotics or any of that.
it'd be like if Harry Seldon was actually a trans woman, or and you're like, but then also they make it like and they change elements and you're like no, this is missing the point of what was trying to be said with it, right? So there's a certain thing being, and again, I'm not defending it like I care, I'm just understanding the logic of what people are saying.
Yeah.
So they're totally like fucking with the whole thing. So all the nerds are like, hey, that doesn't make sense. Like for example, what was an example, Drake, like of what uh
Uh, they said
oh,
some.
like for example, they said so the Jedi's come and they take these two kids that have like that are like these they're lesbian space witches. That's
Oh,
not
oh,
even a
oh,
derogatory like making fun of it. That's
hold on, wait,
literally what they are.
wait. Because this part I think is really important. Is they're saying like, okay, so they have these two kids that they're training to use the Force, right? And so this is why the Jedi's come because
Well, hold
there's
on.
like a
They these lesbian space witches
wait, wait,
can't
wait, wait, wait.
procreate.
No, I'm getting there. I'm
I'm
getting
trying to
there.
explain what how they created the kids though.
That's what I'm trying to
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were
say.
skipping past that.
No, no, I'm just giving context. So the Jedi's come because apparently, like, you're not supposed to train kids to use the Force. Only the Jedi's are allowed to do that. However, as
If you're a
Cameron was
lesbian, you get a
saying,
pass.
no, what Cameron was saying was they created these children without a father, because this is a lesbian commune.
It's like one gave birth, but the other one apparently created it somehow.
Using the
I don't know.
Force, which is
Using the Force.
apparently something that all of the other like Sith Lords and Jedi and all these other characters within Star Wars have been trying to do. Like the most
Like
powerful
you
characters.
cannot like they super want to be able to create a kid who's like naturally good at the Force because they want to fucking utilize that in some way, good or bad.
Yeah.
But these lesbian space witches have been able to do it.
Right. And this has only happened one other time in the Star Wars like history, which is apparently like because one of the Dark Sith Lords, whatever, was creating, I don't know, fucking know. Like they were doing something evil.
We're just trying to piece it all together, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know. I'm
I
sure
don't
some of you
watch
know.
Star Wars.
Kyler probably knows. Okay.
Kyler's like, oh my God, you guys are fucking it up.
Kyler's like, no, because when you go to such and such Alderaan and then you take the crystal there and
But anyway, so apparently Anakin was
correct
like
us if we're wrong, Kyler.
created by the Force, but that was the Force doing it, on its own volition. And no one's ever been able to control the Force to be
Like
able to do
genetically engineer a child to be
Right.
Force sensitive.
that. Except for these lesbian women,
The lesbian space witches.
space witches. Sorry,
So they're
I
like,
apologize.
not only did we defy all the laws of biology, right? And it's because we did. It's because there's no men we're able to raise children that are really cool. It's like, oh, there's no political messaging here at all.
Interesting plot twist, I guess.
This is what I'm saying though. They're just trying to push a political message. They're not trying to, they don't care about being true to the material, so to speak, right? So, but the point I was gonna say is these Jedi come to take these kids because it's like, hey, not only are you not supposed to be like training Jedi kids, or not Jedi, but you know what I mean, Force kids, Force sensitive kids, whatever. Only we can do that because we'll do it properly. But also they go to take these kids, which violates the whole principles of the kinds of kids they would use and train in the Force. So like even the whole thing about Anakin, Darth Vader, right? Anakin Skywalker being brought up. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but in the movies, I didn't even understand this until it was pointed out in these reviews I was watching. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, right, wanted to raise and train Anakin, but like the Jedi Council wouldn't let him because he was like, he has attachments to his mom and he's got all this trauma he went through, right? So those are like bad combinations. You cannot train somebody. You can't like give them the fucking power of the Force and like train them how to use it if they've got these fucking psychological problems, right? So he like went and did it on his own, right? And then you obviously know where that went and everything, right? So, but in this show, these Jedis go and seek out these kids and they take them like they're going to train them and everything. And the people were just saying like that's like total opposite of the whole idea of how the Jedi operate. It would make things in the future. I don't know, it just whatever. Okay, so they just don't give a shit. They're trying to push a message, and I was like, I was realizing when you were saying all that, Drake, is that's Paul. Paul is like literally going in there like, let's take this shit and then let's use it for our own purposes. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry. We'll just, because at the same time, you could argue, hey, with the Acolyte, the reason why they have these strict rules in the future is because of this.
Right. Yeah.
I would think that's, they're just, but the thing is, people don't like it because they're rewriting it. And, there's got to be some subtle, like, we don't want this fucking lesbian, DEI bullshit, like influencing the future of Star Wars. There may be some of that too, but
yeah,
I don't know. But I really see it's like, they're like, hey, how can we take this thing that already has a following and then use it to get people even into the next point? The thing is, I don't know, like, the other interesting point is they're like blaming all of the white males as why there's so much negative feedback, right? Because like, they're just toxic and it's our toxic, this is a small subset of our toxic fans. And it's like, no, those are the actual people who like Star Wars. No one else actually gives a shit about Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the woman who like is really into sports just because her husband or boyfriend's into it. Like if you talk to her, she's way into it, but she would have never been way into it if it wasn't for her boyfriend or her husband.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there are some women out there that are just into sports or whatever.
I mean, can you imagine if all the men just stopped watching sports? Like then
in Star Wars?
Yeah, in Star Wars. And then who would be left to watch it? Like all the people you're pissing off, they're just like, fuck this.
Dude, but think about it. This is what we've been saying is like, hey guys, you can sit there and put your head down and just entertain yourself and go along with the system. but eventually it's going to come for you. So imagine your whole life is like you fucking love Star Wars, and the one thing you love, the system's like fucking with that. I'm like, yes, it's like the person who's middle class thinking they could just do whatever, and then like there's all this mass immigration and their job is taken. You know what I mean? Or like you got this
Or they're
nice
like a
cushy
software
$300,000
developer.
year, yeah, exactly, tech job, and then AI takes it, or you
Devin
get laid
comes
off
in
because
and-
of whatever. Right? It's the
Yeah.
same fucking thing. So it's like
either
the Star Wars
everybody-
people. Maybe we're gonna have an influx of Star Wars nerds and like self-perfected soon.
Either that or they're all just going to become lesbians. You know, even the guys.
They just buy into the message.
They're going to Chelsea Manning themselves and become
Damn.
lesbian space witches.
Ideally not. You know, this
I
is
wanted
they're
to-
self-perfected.
I wanted to show this thing, Cam, that no, you actually did freeze. Hilarious. Your face looked like it was maybe, you were legit.
I was frozen colder than the sperm that these space lesbians use to impregnate
I'm
their.
gonna do this thing. See this thing. Haha. Can you see
Oh, we show the
this?
other one.
The other one? There's a
The first part. That's the actual context. Happy Father's Day.
mom.
Oh, could you see that? Go
Yeah,
back.
you could just see this. Happy
Oh, no, so you can't see
no,
the- you
couldn't
can't see the
that.
description.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like
Just
it
read
was
that
like
top
basically
part, though.
Happy Father's Day to all the women who have to also be the father.
It only just says Happy Father's Day, Mom.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who aren't fathers, aka
Mothers who
priests.
stand to be fathers too. You deserve to be loved. All right. And then you got this.
But they're not
meta-
fathers, they're just mothers. The kid just doesn't have a father.
The post received many Happy Father's Day wishes.
Dude,
by
oh,
many
yes.
commenters expressing love and appreciation. Dude, actually, let me show the other one. Not this one. Where's this one? Happy birthday,
Look at
soldier.
his fucking face.
First of all,
So funny.
this is
I love his
So funny.
tattoo. That
what is
tattoo
this
so
tattoo?
well done.
It's like, is it like a pin?
It's supposed to be like an army
on you?
patch that you would have on your uniform, but they just put it on his arm.
But it's on his arm. It's like,
Look
yeah,
at how
okay.
that today's my birthday sign is balancing perfectly on his hand.
Is he wearing? Is this just underwear? Or is this like some like really tight up like what do they
It's
call that?
very far up
Daisy
his leg
Dukes.
on the other side. Yeah.
Daisy Dukes. And then what's why has he got boots? Who wears boots with shorts? What the hell
You know what
is
this
that?
reminds me of? Have you ever seen
It's
Always
his
Sunny?
birthday.
Have you always seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
And like that guy, that the military guy that comes home, he doesn't have any clothes, and they give him those jean shorts, and then every episode you see him, he's like wearing the jean shorts and like those same Timberland boots.
That's it.
So
this
funny.
is it. This is it right here. And then all the comments.
I like what Kim said though. She goes, "Look at the flag. How many goddamn stars are on that flag?
Oh yeah, true.
Is that the right number? I don't think so."
Who's gonna count them?
I
Who's
didn't
gonna
count.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Some stock trading back there? He's doing just fine.
Dude, it looks like Bitcoin or something. Or like, is this art?
Yeah, he's a crypto miner.
What is this?
He's 3D modeling or something. I think he's doing some like AI fucking generation. Maybe he
Dude.
works for Suno.
Anytime I see a Facebook profile, somebody like friend requests me, and it has the like, I don't know, a stock chart like this in the background, I'm like, delete. Like, fucking no,
Right.
go away.
Okay.
I already know it.
Hold on. Okay, real quick. Because a few people like Christine, you made that comment like, oh, but those are all just probably just bots, right? And we know they probably are, but look how many shares.
Oh, the shares. 52.
That's not bots.
Yeah. That's
They-
hilarious.
So they probably are using bots to boost up the comments, but then I see people sharing it. And I see people sharing stuff like this where you're like, dude, that's so
How is this guy so impossibly handsome? And then like got this
and yet ugly at the same time.
it doesn't make sense.
And why is he still wearing his bulletproof vest? Why is he wearing his flak jacket while he's doing his crypto mining?
I don't know. What
And I
is
like how
this?
he's just like holding the flag.
How-
Today's my birthday.
Yeah, like okay, how much like no sense to be able to look at this and be like, yeah, happy birthday.
Why does he need a wheelchair if he has a bionic leg?
Another great question.
It's like hydraulics.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. It's hilarious.
Look at those pictures on this. That is so funny.
All right, happy Father's Day. And then instead of going to the comments, Meta's just going to tell us.
Why
what
even
they
read the
are.
comments, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Many
So
happy
this is the
Father's,
Father's
Day
Day one, yeah.
wishes. Yeah, with many commenters expressing love and appreciation for mothers who also serve as fathers. The comments are filled with warm sentiments and heartwarming messages celebrating the selfless love and dedication of these special individuals.
The reason I sent that to you because I was like, the fact that this AI is just like, here's what you should think about it.
Exactly.
Why do we need it? Why do we need the summary of what people are saying? Why can't you just read what they're saying?
You know what's so
And
interesting?
if you have the summary, why would you read what they're saying? What's the point of
Yeah.
The
You know what's
point
so
is to
interesting?
do the thinking for you.
like you're gonna
Is-
have an AI that just tells you what someone's probably thinking. You don't need to talk to them.
It's like, okay,
Yep.
you know when TikTok came out with those TikToks, I guess, or Instagram came out with Reels,
Okay.
because they're called different things, right? But basically, the short video that you're watching, right? Always, I remember, especially in the beginning, like the very first thing that you do when you watch one of these videos is you go to the comments to see what are other people saying about it, right? And so here's Instagram or Meta or whatever, and they just figured out, oh, okay, everyone's going to the comments to see what everybody else is thinking before they comment or before they share it or whatever. Or
Like, is this
talk
real?
about.
Is it what are they doing there? Why
Right.
are they doing that? I don't
So we
understand
can
what they're
just
doing.
tell them now what to think about every single thing. And that's what they're doing. It's like, it's crazy, especially if you really consider it. What's really crazy about it is the comments are flooded with AI. We know at least, some portion of it are bots or somebody paid in Asia that's doing like some sort of phone bank thing. Have you ever seen those pictures where it's like,
Yeah, they're crazy.
one Asian old
Oh, that's what
lady-
that military guy was doing. He's fucking 38 Reddit accounts right there.
There you go. Exactly.
Wanted to
It
boost
just-
his own shit.
like. Send
He's
it.
on there like the self-perfected thread on Reddit. Like,
They're talking shit about me.
And then Mitchell went to Arizona. Oh, he should have never done that. That's where he messed up.
these crazy cult people don't cook their milk before they drink it.
They just drink it raw. Gross. Yeah.
Unsafe.
But yeah, and so then it's like they're already trying to shape your understanding or your thinking with all the different commenters. And then on top of that, now they've got like, okay, no, we just have an AI blob that tells you what to think, and it's backed up by all these AI commenters that we already have in there. Are we gonna say?
So if you put these points together, it's like you have the AI telling you what the deal is. Whether I'm not saying it's even misrepresenting it, but that could be even influence, like you're saying. That could be bots that are put in there. The AI is just reading what bots and people are saying. It can't really know the difference. It's giving you the answer. So you're looking at that and you're just trusting that. And so it's like, well, people are smart. They'll use discernment. But that's why I sent that military guy. Like, no, they can't fucking tell what's real or not. And it's like, I don't know how to get this across. Well, maybe I'll just try. Like, when children grow up in environments where they don't know how anything works, so imagine generations from now, which it's already happening, but it's just fast forward, when the AI is like really fully present in everyone's lives, how are they going to know if it's right or wrong? Like, because now on Google, when I'm on my phone, I Google something, it gives me the AI response. I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, does that make sense? But if it's something detailed, like I was looking up, when should I pick these poblano peppers that were growing? And it was like, 5 inches, dark green color. And I was like, that sounds reasonable, but how do I know if that's correct?
Mhm.
Like, it could be wrong. Like, it could just be totally fucking like incorrect. You know what I mean? How do you
Yeah.
know? Like, you don't know. So I'd rather have a website where people are arguing about it so I can look what people are saying, look at the context, maybe ask questions. So then I just joined a private pepper growing group on Facebook and being like, hey, here's what I'm doing. What do you guys think? And you get a bunch of different people saying different things, but then I can ask them questions and evaluate and I can learn.
Private
You know what I mean?
pepper growing group on Facebook.
It's the pickled peckers. It's called the Peckers group.
The Peckers.
We have a pecker file on everybody. But it's like you can learn, is my point. Whereas with the AI, it's more like school. Like, you're not learning something, you're just taking this authority as the answer.
Okay, so I said this on a podcast months or maybe years ago, even, I don't know, but it was when I first started noticing the Facebook would show you like some random image with a blurb, right? And I'd read that blurb, and it'd be like some historical thing of like, oh, in 1937, blah 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 happened, and that's why we call it the Steel Maiden, or I don't know, whatever. Like it'd be some random factoid like that that would have thousands of likes and hundreds of comments, etc. And I was like, I feel like a lot of this stuff that they are showing is just bullshit. It's just a fucking lie. Like, because there's no way to, like, who somebody's posting this shit. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's an AI, maybe it's just some random person who's just trying to get clicks and likes and shit. But then Facebook is promoting it because it's getting so much engagement, right? And I feel like half of it is just bullshit. It's just a fucking lie. It's not even real. And I saw this thing the other day, and it was one of those things, and it was like something about tomatoes. Like, oh, the best time to pick a tomato is when it's like green like this, and you let it ripen on your countertop. And it just reminded me of the question that you were asking, Cam, because like it was like you pick the tomato at this time. That way, it keeps the plant from bowing over, keeps the plant healthy, and allows it to like have nutrients to grow the next tomatoes, blah blah blah. And then I went into the comments, and all the comments were like, spoken like someone who's never grown a fucking tomato. Like, if you want your tomatoes to taste nasty and not have any flavor, that's how you would do it. If you actually want a juicy, delicious tomato that's like really like soft and deep in color, you let it ripen on
Right.
the vine. Like, and this is like all the commenters were basically like, fuck that, right? And it's interesting because I was sharing that, but also at the same time, there were some other things that I was seeing from like just these random things that I had never seen before. That's like, that's interesting. But it made me go, let me go look that up on Google, because I don't trust this here on Facebook. So let me go look it up on Google. And then as I was searching through Google, I'm like, that's the same exact image that I saw on Facebook, and it's saying the same stuff. So how can I even trust this actually, that this is real? Because Google's now using that AI blurb or whatever. It's like, okay, but you just took like a little section here out of this article here. And maybe if I continue reading, it contradicts that later on, or says it in a different way that, you know what I mean? And so it's like you're saying, okay, we've been conditioned to trust Google. We've been conditioned that when we see words written with an image on Facebook, that's fact or some shit, you know? And or how many people have been conditioned that what they see on Reddit is real, you know? Like, so fucking bullshit. But yet, how are you supposed to discern any of this? Because the average person doesn't even have the education or the vocabulary to even see like, all right, this doesn't make sense. Like, wait, or oh, okay, here's a perfect example. Back to Candace Owens. She was saying about because she went on Piers Morgan, right? And Piers Morgan brought up like, hey, you said that you would stake your whole career on Bridget Macron being a man, right? And he's like, how can you make that? That like just invalidates your whole professionalism and all
Who
this.
said that?
Piers Morgan said that to Candace Owens, because she had made a claim that was like, remember that? And she was like,
Yeah. I just wondering who said that.
yeah. So Piers Morgan was like, so that invalidates your whole professionalism. And she's like, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like something's up there. At the very worst, she's a pervert, you know. But there's no photos of her for 30 years, never been pictured or seen with her brother, you know, and just like giving all, he's like, what evidence do you have? And she's like, I'm telling you the
I'm
evidence.
telling
Like,
you the fucking evidence.
yeah, like she sends the, you know, the government like to these journalists to their homes to ruin their lives, ruin like everything that they're doing, because she doesn't want that. Like if let's and then she commented on that. She was like, she just showed that clip of what happened with Piers Morgan, and she commented on it as well. And in that clip, Piers is like, you're not a reporter, all right? You're not a reporter. I went to school for journalism, all right? So you can't just go on Wikipedia, look at a lawsuit, and think you know all the facts. You know, I went to school, and she's like, oh, really? Well, that's great. What school did you go to? And he tells her, and she's like, okay, everybody. This is what she does in the interview. She goes, okay, everybody, you heard it. Pierce is an expert, so he can tell you what to think on this. Nobody else, you can't have your own opinions. Just listen to Pierce. It was great. It was well done, right? And then he's like, so you can't talk on this. She's like, ooh, burn, you got me, sister. Ooh, it was hilarious, right? But she goes back and she comments on it, and she's like, the thing is, with all these like academic, educated people, is they're looking for an authority, and they don't have. Because she also brought up the whole like COVID thing, and how Piers is like, encouraging everybody to get the vaccine, and she's like, but you messed up on that, and he's like, oh, big deal. Like, this was what all the experts were saying, right? And she's like, okay, so everybody's
Isn't that the fucking point?
right. She's like, so everybody's following the experts on all this stuff, right? How did they all get duped? And yet you look at people like Andrew Tate and so and so and so and so, and these are people that are not quote unquote experts, but they were calling this out from the beginning. Myself, I called this out from the beginning. Why is that? Because when you grow up in the real world, you have some street smart, some common sense. You can just see like, that doesn't fucking make sense. And she was making the point of like, if somebody called me a tranny and said I'd been living as a man for the last 30 years, like I would say, okay, go publish that so I can just call out your bullshit and show you a picture of myself when I was a kid. Or, like it would just be so easy to debunk. Why would I have to go? So that's why it seems suspicious. That's why I'm calling it out. Right?
In fact, I would do it on purpose. I would definitely do that, because then I'd be like, and you see how dangerous these people are. Here's the truth. And I would make a really big fucking deal about it, so that we could like make it like, you know what I mean? Like to turn it to my advantage, to censor people more.
Right. And then the other thing that she said, which I thought was hilarious, she says in her commentary on that interview, she goes, by the way, I didn't say this in an interview because it was irrelevant. Like I wasn't gonna, go up to his bait or whatever. But I actually have a degree. Actually, I'm more qualified than Pierce because I have 2 degrees. I have a degree in journalism and something else that she said. And she was like, but it's completely irrelevant to the whole point of like, who cares if you have a degree in such and such
What's the
subject?
point?
That she's like that she has 2 degrees actually. Like Piers was trying to make it like you don't have a degree, I have a degree.
She
And
says
she's
it's not
like,
relevant, but I have 2 degrees.
yeah, but she's like, I actually have 2 degrees, and one in journalism and one in something else. So I'm actually more qualified than Piers. So what the fuck was that about, right?
So he didn't even check to see if she had a journalism degree.
Isn't that fucking hilarious? Isn't that fucking hilarious? He's like calling her out, being like, you don't have a degree, I have a degree, you should listen to me, you're bullshit. And she's like, well, I have 2 degrees. But she didn't say that in the interview. She was just like, oh, you got me. Oh,
Dude, that's
who cares?
What is Pierce Morgan's like? I see his stuff. I don't know anything about him.
He's
What is
just
his like point? Like, what is he trying to do?
oh, he's just like a gotcha kind of guy. He pulls people on interviews and then he's like, oh, you're wrong.
He doesn't even give real opinions. He just gets people on to stir up controversy who have different opinions about stuff. He's not even really a journalist. Like he doesn't do some investigation and then like, let me show you all the evidence. Like he doesn't, as far as I can tell.
Listen, you can't say he's not a journalist. He went to journalism
But
school.
I'm saying he's not doing journalism.
He's
really just like Tucker Carlson, basically. Although Tucker Carlson
school.
actually seems to like put information together.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is, it's the problem is, once you get the degree, you become the expert, and then people should just listen to anything you say. But it serves as an excuse that you don't have to do any real work anymore. Like,
and
you go to the doctor because they have a doctor's degree, therefore they know what the issue is, but they haven't even actually done any real research on the drug in most cases that they're recommending to you. They were just sold on it, and they're just selling you by the standing as the quote expert. But it's like when the parent says, because I said so. And it's like, okay, so you put your dick in my mom, you ejaculated, that became me. My mother gave birth, and then you went to work and kept me alive. Therefore, you know what the fuck you're talking about right now?
I'm the expert.
Like, how does that make you an expert in this particular situation that you're talking about? Like, I'm the parent, and that's how I know. Like, why don't you actually help me understand how you know the thing you're fucking saying? Why you even need to say because I'm the parent? Like, the only time I've ever said that with our kids is like in the context where I'm not able to get them to understand because they just don't have enough context yet. And I say to them, look, I understand that you don't yet fully understand why I'm saying this, and I'm trying to make it clear to you. But even though I haven't yet been able to make it clear to you, I am the parent, which means I am responsible for you and like the consequences of whatever I allow you to do or whatever. And so I am the one who has to take responsibility in the situation and not let you do that. And I will try to help you understand. But if you're just saying you don't like it, that's not a reason why I'm going to give it to you. And I'm the parent. I have to be the one to make the decision. Am I going to go based on the facts of whether this is best or whether it's just you don't like it or not? Yeah. So the only time you see what I'm saying, I would say that within that context and explain that point. But it's not like, well, I'm the parent. I just say so. It's like, so every parent's automatically right. If that's the thing about it. So then how can you ever say any parent abuses their child?
They
It's
can't.
just a retarded
It
argument.
would be impossible because they're automatic.
So this whole thing of like, well, you have to trust the experts. What about when they're wrong? How dare you question them? So how did you get this one wrong, Piers? Because the experts told me. Were they wrong? Yeah, well, they happen to just be wrong in this case. And it's like, so should you ever say trust the experts again? It's like, and then there is the guy's job is just
Very emotion.
it's just like a priest. Like their job is not to get you to actually understand anything. It's just for you to fucking do the rituals and pay the money to the church. It's the whole point of it. Like, what makes
and
this
then they have
fucking
their
person
higher
more
ups that
spiritual?
are like Paul. Well, then they have their higher ups that are like Paul that actually manipulate the story, right? Or they manipulate the actual agenda, and then they get their people to do their bidding.
Even Paul, I would say, legitimately believed what he was saying. Like, he probably had a fucking white light experience, like some revelation experience, and he just believed it and went along with it. And his starting point wasn't to do what's best, anyways. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like you can't really. I wouldn't even say it's purposefully manipulated. See, but if you don't study destiny, you won't have that context. So you think it's just, well, it must be this one guy just decided to manipulate everybody. I mean, he was already working for the Roman government persecuting Christians anyways. So he's already like doing something that wasn't best.
Yeah.
And now you're just going to trust what he's saying now. Why?
Yeah.
The problem was when you were impulsed with the point of Christianity, you didn't really have a critical approach to it. You were really, there was an emotional point that got you to accept it in the first place.
Does anybody have
So-
a critical
so-
approach? Maybe
that's my
Quakers.
point.
Maybe Quakers. They're like, I looked into Quakerism because John Taylor Gatto talks about Quakers and how like we've had 2 Quaker presidents and such. And you look at Quakers, it's like such a small sect. But okay, what is your thought when you think of Quakers?
Oats.
Oats, exactly, right? The fucking oatmeal guy, like wearing a fucking funny hat. And
That's
shit.
Benjamin Franklin right on there. Isn't it?
I thought that was George Washington.
Quaker
What is
guy.
a Quaker exactly? What is a Quaker?
So I looked into I'm gonna tell you what a Quaker is, right? Because I looked into the whole religion and like what it takes to become a Quaker, all this stuff. Do you know that Quakers are basically like, yeah, we read the Bible, but like we don't actually agree with all the stuff that you would have at a normal church. Like we think it's like for you to interpret for yourself. And so they're like, if you come to our church, there's no like formal service or anything like that. It's basically like you hang out with a bunch of other people who also semi believe in the Bible, but like they're like, yeah,
But they're not questioning the actual starting point of it. They're just like, oh, it doesn't require an authority to teach me what it says.
right.
I believe that Jesus is still my fucking savior. It's just I can kind of figure that out on my own.
Yeah, but then there's Quakers that are like, yeah, but I'm more of like a like new age type of there's new age type of Quakers.
But that's the same thing.
I understand that, but I'm saying like, okay, here's the reason why I'm bringing it up, because the whole idea is that you're given this idea of Quakerism that's just like you're the oats guy, and it vaguely seems like Amish, and you're like, I'm not
Right?
interested.
Yeah. No. Totally. You're like they're like kind of Amish people or something.
Right, which would then keep, because I never even questioned, like I never even considered what is Quakerism, or if that would be something that like as a Christian or any of that stuff, because if you start going down that path, then that loosens the whole like, and I'm not saying obviously I'm not saying Quakerism is the answer or any of that stuff. I'm just saying it's really interesting within just even Christianity. It's portrayed as this is the doctrine, this is the one belief, this is the way to go, and you're steered away from questioning any of that, right? Steered away from any potential like wanting to just question really, or discover or have discernment for yourself, for your own, right? It's just accept this from what the priest has given you. And when would you ever hear that or learn of that in a different light? Because I could tell you my mom didn't know what Quakerism was. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying Quakerism is the answer. It's just a point of like being able to question what you're learning as opposed to being handed by an authority like this is
like if you ever heard of the idea of Quakers in the context of, oh, you can question sort of whether there's an authority, you would kind of be short-circuited because you think, oh, that's just like some Amish weird stuff or something.
Right.
They make oatmeal.
Right. No, I'm not. That's weird.
Apparently it's William Penn. Apparently it's William Penn. I don't know, but the PepsiCo website begs to differ.
Sean Penn.
Yeah.
They do a rebrand. They do a rebrand.
Is Sean Penn the guy, the white guy?
Sean Penn's like James Bond.
Yeah, he's an actor. He's an actor.
Okay.
Like the Rain Man guy.
Oh no, I was thinking the other guy.
What's Sean Penn?
I've never seen Rain Man.
I think it's no. I don't think that's Rain Man. I think that's a different guy.
Who's the guy with the? Who's the white guy that looks like a black guy, or he tries to pretend he's black?
Oh yeah, Sean something, but I don't remember.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Mitch is like, who? How do you guys know this?
Who's the white guy who pretends to be a black guy?
He's a very prominent figure.
It all comes down to this point of like, is there a higher power?
Yes, there.
And like, why is it?
And how are you defining higher? And how are you defining power?
Why do people think? Power. Why do people think that it's immoral of you to think there isn't a higher power?
There is a higher power.
That there's no
it's
uniting.
Called OpenAI, and
but you know what I'm saying
NSA.
though, it's like,
hey, that $1 trillion cluster.
But like inherently a higher power.
A Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yeah,
I believe in a Harry power.
A Harry
because
Potter.
Here's why they think if you question it, you're then a immoral or bad person, is because they've never been. It has not been possible yet in the system to actually question it and then coherently actually produce a solution that's best for all.
No.
So you're either in the camp of there's a higher power and be a good person, or there's not a higher power and
if you question it, you can't be exploited. Like if you're somebody who questions it, it's the same way. Like a student in a classroom, if he questions the authority, it's like you're a bad student. Like don't want you in my classroom. Go.
Yeah, it's not going to work. You're going to fuck it up because you're not
right. And so like automatically,
but that's not what people think, though. That's not what people think.
No, that's not what people think. But that's
what I'm asking. Like, what do people think?
That if you question God, that you're
if you question that there's a higher power, it's not even just God, it's just a higher power. Like the concept doesn't make sense.
Well, what people think,
hold on, hear me out. Just real quick. Here's the point. At the end of time, okay.
Wait,
we're all hanging out.
Think. Can I tell you what people think?
Hold on. At the end of time, we're gonna be hanging out. And you all, whoever you still believe in a higher power, you're going to be like Piers Morgan, and I'm going to be Candace Owens. And I'm going to be like, why did you trust that there was a higher power? And you're like, well, but everyone was saying there was. And my thought.
The higher power took him out.
Priceless. For
yeah.
I see what he's saying, though. Yeah, it's the same thing as trust the experts.
It is.
But in this, it's even more devious though, because trust the experts, they got you when you were 4, and they said you're going to burn in hell for eternal sin if you don't buy in. So it's even more than
the reason.
trust the experts.
Also, the reason why people think you're immoral if you question the higher power is because they think you're going to talk me out of this higher power and drag me down with you.
Yeah, and
I can't allow that.
But anybody who questioned COVID,
right? Same thing.
When I'm talking to the person who says I believe in higher power,
yeah,
it's like you trying to talk to the person who believes in the fucking vaccines and all that
Fauci.
stuff.
Yeah.
And they're
it's
like, yes, but this and this and this. And you're like, how do you not see that you're just being manipulated, that your beliefs are manipulated, your feelings, your experiences, the whole thing is being manipulated so
Yeah.
that you will trust in that. And it's like that is really at the end of the day what it really comes down to.
Yeah. It's
And
actually
then,
really
but
sad.
then people feel bad about that though, because then they're like, well, but I feel this way towards church, or when I go to the church service and we sing together and I feel some type of way. And now if you're saying that that higher power isn't real, well, what the fuck? Like they
But if you're
have not
saying
even
that it's about how you
questioned that.
feel, you don't really believe in it. Like, because the whole basis of spirituality and religion should be, at the end of the day, to make this world best for everybody. If it's not
Well, it
that,
should
how
be,
can you
yeah.
have any claim to any form of morality whatsoever? That should be the point of morality. That should be the
Yeah.
point of philosophy, ethics, everything. And so if that's not the starting point, if you use your feelings to justify it, anybody could use those same justifications. Well, I just feel like everybody should have the vaccine because, we should just at least, what about the people who can't leave and they're stuck in their home, like because they're afraid to come out because we won't take it. Like, what if you don't care about them? I'm like, what does that fucking have to do with the reality of what we're talking about? That's just some like feeling bullshit you're talking about.
So the interesting thing about that is like, because then because Candace has made this whole like thing like shot in the dark about COVID, not even COVID. It was about like other vaccines. A vaccine that she took.
That's what they should have called unvaxxed, by the way, a shot in the dark.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Because wasn't it about like black kids getting autism from
Yeah,
the vaccines?
Black kids, but
I thought that's why Candace called it a shot in the dark because she's
Oh.
dark. And she had a shot in
It's
it.
like about the Tuskegee experiments.
but she was basically saying like then Pierce, like when she brought that point up of like, because Pierce started asking her about like, do you vaccinate your kids and all this, and she's like, I don't vaccinate my kids, and the reason why is because I had a adverse reaction to vaccination, and then I started looking into it, and then he's like, well, what about polio, what about all this, and it's like, oh shit,
All bullshit. You literally haven't done any fucking journalism
Right.
investigation, read shit in your fucking life.
right. And it's like
These guys who are saying they're the experts, it's just like when you go to the doctor. I knew somebody who was very high up in a pharmaceutical company, not a big major one, but it was like a very specific one. And they were like, Cameron, the doctors are the dumbest people I know. It's like they can't read, they don't understand anything. Half of my job is just teaching them fucking basic chemistry so they can understand why these particular drugs we produce are necessary.
yeah, dude.
Like,
So when you're saying that Piers Morgan is like a priest, that's literally what it is. It's like, okay, I come into this church and then I gotta say to all these people, follow this doctrine, right? It's same thing with the doctors. The doctors are priests. They're basically like, okay, follow
the priests
me.
have really not thought about it.
Yeah, priests. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's like they're experts in Star Wars. And then you're trying to talk to them about actual physics.
they're like,
And
wow.
maybe they could have also studied physics, but they probably didn't because they were spending all their time studying Star Wars. And you're like, you're talking about the Force, and you're like, that's not real. Like they're talking about the Holy Spirit and this and that, and it's like it just shit that you were taught. It's not real stuff. And anybody who's reacting and like, oh, how dare you? Okay. So you think it's real? Okay. So what about Islam? Is that real?
Well,
You have to say all of that's totally
obviously.
valid. If
They
I
have
have to say
faith.
your bullshit is valid, you have to say their bullshit's valid. And then how can anyone say they actually believe anything if I'm not allowed to talk shit about your religion, then you have to accept that Muslim is true. And you have to accept Buddhism, paganism, fucking Luciferianism, whatever the hell, because I can't criticize yours. So what gives you the right? Oh, is it only because you have the true one? Is that what you think?
they've God on their side. Remember how they tried to conquer the world?
And that's the point, is like God is actually on our side.
yeah.
People
Remember-
think that would be arrogant, but it's not arrogant if you say it. It's only not arrogant if you say it because you put yourself in the position of a follower. Like you
Yeah.
put yourself in the position of someone who's a slave who will never change anything. And therefore it's okay if you say God is behind you and God is with you and God works through you and God speaks to you and like all this crazy fucking nonsense. I don't even claim all that stuff. I'm just saying on the side of, if he was choosing a side, would he choose the side of making the world best for all so children get actually an effective life and they don't have to fucking worry about where money's going to come from and so forth? Or should he just continue things the way they are? Which side do you think God's going to be on?
Dude, it's
Right.
interesting that you said it that way of like, geez, I lost my thought. Never mind.
Yeah, but there's where you see those firewalls though, because someone who's got that emotional shit, like the comment Giselle put in the chat about like, an example of that church programming. There are some people the reasoning won't work with, and okay, next, find the next person who's willing to stand.
So
and actually
that,
work.
and that's
Hang on,
that's the
I
point
remember-
we've gone into. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember what I was gonna say though. That you're just a follower. That the way that you said it that way, of you're just a follower, it basically is saying like, hey, you're not actually questioning and making a decision for yourself. You just listen to something somebody said at some point, and you're just going along with it, and you're hoping that you made the right choice back then to go along with what they're saying. And you're not considering, you're not leading yourself, you're not directing anything, because if you were, you'd question, oh wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Oh no, I can use discernment here. No, versus just trying to protect a decision that you made however long ago. One decision that you're like, I got to stick with this because hopefully I'm never wrong.
I've had those experiences in my life. I'm sure some people can relate to this, where it's like you experience something really shitty and then you kind of like don't want to experience that again.
Mhm.
So like maybe there's a certain thing or feeling or belief or thought that like you don't want to go there because it might open a whole can of worms again.
Yeah.
So it's like, how you felt before you had God, and then you don't want to question it because you might have to feel that way again or something.
Mm.
And it's like, that's all it is, just a fear response when people are like not wanting to look at it. Because I don't have any anger about God. It's just the point. It's really annoying that you would utilize that point and hide behind it. And even the one person who came up to us at the event and was like, oh, I don't know why you're saying Christians like, don't want to create a world that's best for all. And, I was like, God is a problem. And I was like, well, is it a problem? Like, can you believe in God and not have an excuse? And we had a long conversation and it came down.
Oh man, we'll never find out what happened. Just a cliffhanger right there.
Cameron needs that VIP Starlink access. Got that, Katie? Can apply for it. I've heard.
She can't hear you
If you
either.
get a Tesla bot on your property.
You can't talk to Katie. She can't hear you either.
What were you saying? What was the conclusion?
I said it just
with
came
that guy?
down to they were still using it as an excuse because they didn't actually want to change the system to stop poverty from being created. They just wanted to give to charity and follow Catholicism. I'm like, and then it was like, dude, these points we just brought up, when you actually looked up the facts of like how much real estate the Catholic Church owns,
Yeah.
what is the net worth of the Catholic Church? If wonder what the estimate would be.
I don't know. Net worth of
looking it up.
Catholic Church. You got it?
Yeah.
And then
Estimated net
like that
worth.
comment,
Somewhere between three. This is according to the Google AI, by the way. Somewhere between 3 billion and 30 billion.
Yeah, I see even up to 73 billion in assets.
that's assets. What's their
Billion.
cash flow? What's their like
Their
yearly
wealth,
revenue?
10
Yeah,
bill-
right?
Who knows?
Is there even an estimate?
What's the Pope's salary? 32 grand a month. He refused to give the money, guys. Sorry. He donates the money to the church that he gets paid from the church. He donates it.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the church. There's a donate. He calls it donating. Catholic Church yearly revenue. 887 million.
Wow.
Itemized donations, which can only be used toward a specific cause or department, constitute 24% of their income. The finances behind the Vatican.
Oh, so they can get donations that are like not even like cash. They could like get a whole building. That's a donation.
I mean, they're just basically like a small country. I mean, literally.
They're
However, the
Roman
Vatican
Empire.
officials were allegedly deceived by Torzi into giving him voting shares for the property. As a response, the Vatican officials offered Torzi 15 million euros to retain the property and remove himself from the deal. In July 2022, ASPA sold the property to Bain Capital for 180 or for a loss of 170 million. It's like they're literally just playing real estate. Like that is what's going on, and their priests are like, it's so easy because you read sci-fi, and it's always so foreign when you read sci-fi, where it always seems like that's not like a real thing that's happening. You know what I mean? There's enough of that element of like, so you can kind of see the actual thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Like the priests that are just saying the rituals, but they're actually just taking people's money and, you know, building a business out of it. Like when you see it in the context of a sci-fi, it's like, oh yeah, clearly that's what's happening on this planet Xenophobe or something. You know what I mean? Like, but like in real life, oh, that's not what's really happening on real life, because it's actually the real Catholic Church that actually is connected to God. It's like, but every Catholic must believe that that's what's going on with the fucking Islam, all the, I don't know, mosques, or I don't know if there's like a leader of Islam or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, don't they believe that they're just literally scamming people? Isn't it? Are they literally?
Maybe they
It's
think
a
they're
trap.
like actually
Fuck the trap.
doing the best they can. You know, trying to actually
Doing the
help
best they can. Oh, but we don't get that benefit of the doubt.
No,
No.
Only
no.
the people who say we actually want to do what's best for all. They're the only ones who don't get the benefit of that. Everybody else who doesn't even claim that and then just manipulates people based on their fear of death and so forth. They're probably trying to do their best they can, guys.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
That's so funny.
Isn't that what's
That's
actually
so
happening
funny.
though?
That's what's. Well, I mean,
It's like, oh, well,
It's
they've got
literally
money.
just Agent Smiths trying to keep the system intact. You're just
Right.
following. That's all it is.
it's
You have
following the
not
fear
woken up.
response. Yeah.
You have not
and then
applied
living that out
self-honesty.
automated.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
just-
So you got this automated bullshit in your mind all day long, running your life, but you can step up, get out of it, and help others. So
Okay, I know you got to go, Mitch. Do you want to keep talking, Drake,
Yeah,
or do you want
let's
to
keep
wrap it up?
going.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you later, Mitchy.
all right,
Mitchell.
I'm gonna go celebrate Hot Rodent Summer. So bye everyone.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Oh, yeah.
Rodent Day.
I'll tell that to Jessica. I'll tell her Happy Father's Day. All right.
Put on your
yeah.
best rodent smile. There you go. That was good. All right. What else? What else do we want to cover? We got about another 45 minutes at the
the
most.
NSA thing.
Oh well, there you go, dude. Like,
Yeah.
man, there was this point earlier where I wanted to bring it up because it was just like fitting in so perfectly.
There was multiple points that I wanted.
I guess
to
when we
bring
were
up.
talking about Google and like trusting all that shit.
Right.
and- Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Exactly that. Okay. So here, so the news is the NSA, or the former head of the NSA until 2023, actually, or maybe even just till February of this year.
So not just some guy a long time ago or some random person in there, like the actual head of the NSA up until recently.
Just stepped down from the NSA to go be the head of security.
No, they're on the board now. No, they're
Oh.
on the board of OpenAI, and now they're also on the Security and Safety Committee.
Oh shit. Okay. I didn't realize they were on the board.
Yeah, no, they're a board member now.
Oh wow. Okay, so randomly.
Which is, so that's not like a consultant. That's like somebody who's steering the direction of the company.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Somehow randomly, this head of NSA just like after he steps down, he's like, I think I want another job. Maybe I'll just go over to OpenAI. That sounds like fun, and
No connection there.
no connection. They're like, hey, do you want to be on the board?
I'd really like to actually just like not spy on Americans and try to like, fuck around and I'd actually like to do something good and like really help people understand stuff and like, really be of service to society. I'm going to do a total 180 this year.
Yeah. And OpenAI has an open position. What is this? Or they approached me? Wow. What are the chances? It's funny because it's obviously
It's so in your face.
Yeah.
And like they obviously don't give a shit.
It's just like the pharmaceuticals, and like, somebody who's the head of the FDA leaves the FDA to go work at Pfizer or some shit, and you're like, oh, really? Like you guys weren't in cahoots, weren't making some...
Okay, that emotional point about trusting experts and scientists are good and noble people and all this stuff. That's why all of that is within everybody. Is so when the obvious fucking corrupt bullshit happens, we just won't. It'll be like you see it, but then you have that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Like, and then you apply the double think for yourself.
Right. Because you're like, well, I mean, that is the foremost expert in this thing. So I guess,
And
I mean,
also scientists aren't corrupt. What are you talking about? They're experts. Like
right.
they love what they do. They're helping people, and doctors love to help people. And like, it's not just because they want money and fucking prestige. Like, that's not why they're
Have
doing
you
it.
seen that meme? It kind of looks like a Gary Larson type of comic.
Okay.
And it's like there's two guys and they're like one is in a lab coat and the other one's like just talking to him and he's like, see, we already did half the work for you. You just have to do the fill in the top part. And it's a big board, and on the top it says data, and then at the bottom it says conclusion, and then it already has the conclusion. It's like chocolate's good for you, it's super healthy. So you just have to find the data and put that in there, so we can legally claim that it does
Yeah.
this.
For anybody who really wants to explore that rabbit hole, just listen to the Dark Horse podcast. They're really good at exposing all it because like the Heather Haying, the woman in the podcast, she worked in research. Like the other guy was also a research scientist, but she worked in that like writing grants and doing all that stuff. So they do a really good job of questioning that stuff and exposing a lot of that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna see if I could find it real quick, but I did not. Anyway, no, so that I thought was significant to talk about, just that point. And then,
Real quick, since before I forget, just everybody watching, we're making a playlist of all the stuff we talk about. So any of the videos, and probably just even the ones we didn't even get to that we were like throughout the week, we send each other videos of like, hey, we should talk about this, this, this. There's so many that we can't actually cover everything, even though we talk for a long time, like because we talk, right? So we're putting all that into playlist right now. There's probably like about 50 videos. That's just from the past couple of weeks of like sending each other stuff. So this isn't going back historically ever, but I'll keep adding stuff. And so as we get new ones, we'll just keep adding them in there to the top of the playlist. So you can kind of, if you want to, it's not like we just know stuff. Like we're actually watching videos, listening, thinking about it, doing research and stuff. So all the stuff we talk about, a lot of times it's challenging because it's like, how much context do you give? How much do you explain? We can't just watch the whole video here. Like, it would just not work, right? So we're just gonna put it on the playlist. You can, if you want, you can put it in the self-perfected chat, and then I'm sure we can put it in the link to each video too.
oh yeah, I can do that.
Maybe we just add that in the description.
Yeah. I'll have to fix the description to add that playlist, but that's a good idea. I'm gonna throw it in the chat right now. So for everybody on the Facebook, boom, there you go. And then yeah, there were some other things. Okay.
Every video in there doesn't mean I believe it, doesn't mean I agree with it. It's just context that I'm looking at. Of like, some of it's just like I watch, like there's that one of that young guy who's like he doesn't have any hope anymore. And why would I watch that? Because it's like seeing where people are at, and that's why I share it. It's like, look at what people actually are thinking and feeling. He's got like 200 subscribers or something, right? So it's not like some big name, but it's cool to kind of see. So we have a lot of different things in there.
Yeah, it's interesting because like what we're told in the media, or if you talk to somebody who like goes along with the mainstream consciousness, the US is not in a recession right now. In fact, our economy is better than it's ever been. And if you're experiencing some financial hurt or whatever, that's just on you.
Is the average person in your life better off than they've ever been? It's like such bullshit.
It's so obvious, and yet
again, same thing. The FDA guy goes to Pfizer, and you're like, oh, but I mean, it probably makes sense. And you're like, yeah, the economy must be doing better.
Right.
Read like 1984, dude. Like when I read it when I was a kid, it was like, oh, what a weird fantasy story. Wouldn't it be crazy if the world worked like that? You get older, you realize it kind of does work like that. Yeah. Now it's like so fucking crystal clear. It literally works like that.
Yeah.
Big Brother.
That one and Animal Farm, like Animal Farm was like, oh, this is a good historical novel, about history, something that happened that would never happen again, And it's like, all these sci-fi books that we talk about, everything, there's just so many spoilers for life, in the books themselves. Okay, you'll get this reference, right? But like, there was. I was reading recently about like somebody accusing Ito of being a robot, right? Ito Demerzel, right? And and it is so interesting because I'm looking at that like, oh, that's that same point with like Bridget Macron, right? Like when you were saying that, I was like, oh, that would be like perfect for her, right? Because oh, they're calling her whatever, and she's like, yeah, yeah, bring that out. Boom, get the hammer, it all goes away. And no one ever questions that again. Then you're like, ha, see, you're just a transphobe. And then you could just use that against everyone.
Do you remember the short story? I don't know if you read that one, where the guy's like running for political office and they're saying he's a robot.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I forget what it was called or what the names were or anything, but
Yeah.
that one was really good too because you could totally see that.
And
I mean,
like
imagine when human and robots get to the point where you can't obviously distinguish them.
somebody, okay, so one of the videos that we watched, and I don't think it's one of the recent ones, but one of the videos that we watched was describing, imagine you're sitting next to your coworker and your coworker looks just like any other coworker or whatever. The only difference is they are 100 times more efficient than you because they're actually an AI and they're constantly plugged in. They're constantly like receiving information and data that you're not even aware of that you would have to go and search for, and they're getting it instantaneously. And not only that, they're also stronger than you because they're not running on muscles. They're actually a robot and they're a humanoid robot, but they just look like you. And so you know this vaguely, but also you're still working alongside them because of, I don't know, that's the future that we're in. It's like,
Because you're not robophobic.
because yeah, you're not robophobic. Exactly. Like
That will be a thing,
you don't want to be a robophobe.
dude. That
Ugh.
will be a thing, dude.
What are you like
That
from the
will.
1950s, you robophobe?
What are you from like the 2050s? Jeez.
Yeah,
You want
20.
us to go? You just want us to go back where like robots didn't have equal rights?
Oh, like God. How silly are you? Dude, and then you get into the whole like Solaria thing. Anyway, but the point is
Read the fucking books, man. God damn, people. Read all the books. It shouldn't take you that long. It only took me 3 years maybe to read like every fucking relevant sci-fi novel.
but how long did it take you to get into it though? To like start reading all those books, right?
What do you mean?
Because I mean, like people don't know that they should be reading those books.
Well,
Know?
before that, I read a lot of uh, nonfiction.
Techno feudalism
Fiction stuff.
books. I guess there's also a lot of people that
But this is
don't
just
read.
this is just reading at night before bed. That's all. That it took me 3 years to read every relevant sci-fi novel, just reading at night before bed.
Yeah. Everyone's like, but I don't read as fast as you, Cameron.
If only there was a way.
Ah, so, but yeah, the relevant point here is just basically, it's describing this future. And dude, that Ray Kurzweil video where he's like dressed like a little boy, did that not put you off?
There, guys. I'm gonna help you to understand AI. He's got
This
like a weird
fucking haircut, like a
And
bowl cut.
did he have like a rainbow bow tie or
He
suspenders or some
had
shit?
suspenders, yeah, and it just looked like, why do you look like a fucking child? Like you're
He's just a weird dude.
like an 80-year-old man stuck in like a 5-year-old like personality. I don't know. It's so weird. But he's talking about AI and he's like, yeah, we're getting pretty close to the singularity and we're gonna have robots now that can do all these jobs. And like he's dead serious too.
And back in the day, dude, the first time I was ever exposed to Ray Kurzweil was in 2004, I think,
okay.
when I watched Waking Life.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't think he's in it, but there was this part where the guy's talking to this Scottish philosopher, and I remember it's something about transhumanism.
Okay.
So that took me down this whole rabbit hole back then of like, what is this transhumanism thing? It's very interesting. And I started learning about Ray Kurzweil, the singularity, and all this shit. And I was just like, it was like, seemed like fantasy, but at the same time seemed like it's realistic and it could happen, but I just wasn't really sure because it was so out there and like, not a lot of people were really talking about that back then, but Ray Kurzweil was. He was writing fucking books about it.
Yeah. And he's still talking about merging with AI. And
but the reason I brought it up was because back then he was putting these graphs together of here's how we're going to advance and so forth. And people were like, bullshit. And now everyone's like, oh, he was right the whole time.
he was so accurate. And he's saying like, okay, now, my prediction that I made, I think we're actually closer to it than, well, no, actually he's still maintaining the same time frame, but he's just saying we're nearer to it. We're there almost, basically.
He, as far as I understand, he invented the digital piano,
Oh, wow.
and he was the I don't know the exact title, but like the chief of experimental research at, or no, the chief engineer, the director of engineering at Google
Well, he's the chief
recently.
futurist now.
But yeah, but he was the director of engineering. He was like the fucking uh, Johnson O'Connor
Oh, really?
of I'm just saying, like, because
Of
remember he was the
Google.
head of engineering at
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Anyway, why was I bringing him up? Basically, all this shit, like, because I talk to people, and sometimes I'm like, how do you not see this? Because I'll talk to people about like, AI is basically coming for your jobs and shit like that. And also, I see videos of people talking about like, yeah, they're saying AI is gonna disrupt this and disrupt that, but I don't. And these will be like technical people, and they'll say like, well, yes, but a lot of these companies that are claiming that they have AI or whatever, they're actually just like, lying about it. And what's happening is they're firing all these people, but that might come to bite them, in a couple of years or something like that. And I'm like, okay, but there's still the movement. Like it's still a
that
very
doesn't
obvious.
change the reality of what's happening. That's just
Exactly.
companies are incentivized to pretend like they got AI when they don't yet. That
Right.
doesn't change the fact that Suno exists. Fucking Sora's coming out.
And like
Like
whether you call
in,
it AI or not,
Nvidia, like it's just Nvidia just pretend it's not
right,
happening.
right. And so like, dude, there's so much in those sci-fi books that is exactly like this. Like,
You know what's really cool? Like Katie now, because like for a long time, obviously she's kind of with the kids. She's learning about the animals, the plants, how to make the food, like all that kind of stuff, and like that was been more her focus. And obviously she reads a lot. She reads all the sci-fi I read, and she's now though she's like switched into, because there was, it was on our trip to Miami because we drove, right?
yeah,
And she was like, what can I listen to that's cool about like this AI stuff? Because she knows all about it, but not like from the perspective of we like watch all the videos and stuff,
mhm.
because she's watching other stuff more relevant to like all the other stuff she's doing. And I was like, oh, watch this David Shapiro video, right? So then she watches like every relevant David Shapiro video on AGI. And then and I'm like, but if you really want the real stuff, like watch Wes Roth, right? Because he's really good at like giving all the current news of what's going on and breaking it out. So then she's watching all that. And then she's watching the whole Leopold Aschenbrenner interview, who was the
Mhm.
ex OpenAI guy, before I
Yeah.
watch it. And she's
Oh,
like, then, oh yeah. And she was telling me exactly what she's like, I'm listening to all these different CEOs and people talking about AI, and they're all fucking clueless and they're not listening to what's actually fucking going on. It's crazy.
yeah.
Right. So it's been really fun to like her be on board with like studying all that shit. So now it's like we're like always talking about
Because
this.
the way that the CEOs and whatever they're like, oh, it's just a hype train. It's all just a hype train. It's just like a cash grab to like boost up their stock, and then we're gonna find out that none of these companies have AI actually, and they're firing
Okay,
people
because
for.
there was a .com bubble, the internet was hype.
Yeah, right,
Like,
exactly.
no,
Yeah,
like that's just more of a symptom of the fucking economy being a zero sum game. Why you're, but now it's like utilizing it to keep people asleep. It's fucking crazy.
yeah. And so it's it's obvious where everything is headed, and at the same time, you've got people, calling or claiming like, oh no, it's just hype. Don't believe the hype. And then the average person is like, oh, I think it's just hype because I don't see AI in my life or whatever. And I'm like, dude, okay, even if you don't call it AI, because I was thinking about this, because some of these guys have like really technical, like, well, it's not really AI. It's like this is just a language prediction model or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so
It's a
but
computer that does shit we can't do. Okay, how about that?
at the end of the day, like even if you're looking at like, okay, they use this large language model to then write code for itself to get better at doing a task. Like, that sounds like artificial intelligence to me, you know? But anyway, the technology is improving regardless
It
of how you
won't.
look
They
at it.
won't call it AI until it's AGI. Basically, is what they're saying.
Basically. Yeah.
Like until it's like acts like a human
until it's like slapping you around and you're like, please stop.
until it takes your job and your wife and your religion.
There you go.
You won't accept it.
That's an artificial intelligence.
Wait till you go to wait till you go to church and like your priest is a fucking robot.
Yeah. And it's telling you that you actually had the artificial intelligence. And you're like,
Dude, one of the best short stories, I mean, they're all good, but like Asimov is that one where they have that robot on that spaceship. Do you remember this? And its job, I don't know if you read this one. Its job was to its job was to make sure that okay, so they were getting energy from like a star and then beaming it to a planet. And so like they were on this spaceship, which was like a power station to like transfer the energy. And so they had to very accurately time these transmissions of energy so it wouldn't cause like a whole fucking destruction of the planet. So they had a robot there to like basically do that task.
Yeah.
And like it was programmed to be like, this is my job. This is the most important thing. I have to get this done properly. But then it develops a whole religion out of it this device that it serves is God.
Right.
And that like the humans are actually an interference with it. And they're trying to convince this robot, like, we created you. That's not God. That's just a machine that you're following a program here. And I'm like, I understand your pain, guys. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's those two guys. I forget their name. Those two recurring characters he has. They're always like out on some mission together, like isolated.
Mike and Mike. Something like that.
No, it's not Mike and Mike. I don't remember. It's been a long time, but
I don't know. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I love that one. And then he's like trying to convince the robot believes, because they're like showing him all these books, because he's like, you're not even real. You were created by the machine, the God that he calls it.
Right.
And you're just there to test me. And he's like, no, look, here's all these books like showing the development of robotics. He's like, clearly the machine has created that to convince you that you are, so you won't go crazy and think that you're inferior and stuff, but actually you're inferior. They even like build a robot in front of his eyes and he still won't accept it. It's like, it was such a cool story.
Okay, you know what that reminds me of? It's basically like the people who are discounting the AI stuff and they're like calling it just hype or whatever. It kind of reminds me of like, okay, so you won't trust the experts on this one, but you're going to trust the experts on literally everything else. You know what I mean?
Okay, if you were a kid with common sense and you weren't taught anything, you wouldn't believe in God. This is my premise. You just be like, there's just stuff here. And if you were innocent, you'd be like, why is someone harming me right now? Why is someone harming that person? You'd be like, what the hell? Like, you have to be taught to like not care about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the baseline. Everything else, like God, abuse, debt, taxes, all this shit would be like 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the baseline would be just like, there's everything that I can experience and see. There may be some things I don't understand about that, but it all basically works and fits together. And like, if a tree falls and it lands on something, it's going to crush it. So and if I stand under there, I will die. There is no need for a thing that you can't perceive. Because like, if you don't go and hunt, you don't get food.
Right.
If you don't create a system to like get your food that day, you have to work all day to get the food. You wouldn't be like, oh, there's some thing I can't see that takes care of me. That would never cross your mind.
Yeah.
If it wasn't planted there in the first place.
Yeah.
So when you read 1984 and he's talking to O'Brien and he's like, you have to get to the point where I'm paraphrasing. Actually, let me pull it up real quick.
Basically says like when he
O'Brien,
Powell and Donovan.
2 + 2. Powell and Donovan.
But their names are Mike, right? Isn't it? Like Michael Powell and Michael Donovan, something like that. I don't know.
Hold on, let me find this thing.
It's not 2 + 2 is it 2 + 2 is 5? I thought it was like when he holds up fingers.
In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make that claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality. Let me go back. Yes. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make that claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality was tacitly denied by their philosophy.
Mm.
So when a Christian's like, well, I know God because I believe it, it's like you're denying external fucking reality. You're saying it's all internal, it's all your beliefs and shit. That the party fucking has you. The party has told you 2 + 2 is 5. They've demanded it. They have to, because they have to have complete compliance and followership and no actual consistent, like no common sense thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
Like the only way the Federal Reserve System, the central banking, all that stuff can exist is if people believe in God. Like it might sound crazy if you're like not really able to process what I'm saying, but they're connected, because you're saying there's a higher power. So there has to be a higher power everywhere you look. There has to be some higher power in some way. Like there can't just be everyone here, we're equal. Well, equality, that's communism. Equality is a fact. It's not a goal. It's a fact. The goal should be, how do we create a system that recognizes that and honors it and accounts for it? Recognizing also that even within equality, there are differences.
Yeah.
And that's not a contradiction.
Yeah.
But the reason why you think equality means the same is because the only fucking time you heard the word was when you studied mathematics. That's not the same word.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's pretty.
Like in mathematics, are addition and subtraction the same?
No, but yes.
Why do you say yes?
I say yes because if you know addition, then you know subtraction.
Well, no,
like,
no, you
well,
don't. No, you don't.
you should, because
You have
like,
to have
look,
negative numbers first.
well, okay, hang on. Excluding negative numbers, if you say what plus 4 equals 5, that's the same thing as subtraction.
It's not.
It is. It's just a different vocabulary, but it's the same thing.
Subtraction, you're actually right when you say addition is the same, because if you look at, you have numbers, you have the natural numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the positive numbers, and then you have their inverses, which is the negative.
Sure.
So -5, -6, -7. When you add those together, you get 0. So that's
Yeah.
how they define the point. And then they say, well, you instead of saying plus a negative, you say minus, right?
Yeah.
So technically it's the same. But I guess what I mean is when most people think about it, they think of it as two different things. They're
Yeah.
opposites.
Yeah.
In other words, when you're adding 2 and 2, you're also not subtracting 2 and 2.
Yeah.
So I see your point, but in one sense, you can't be adding and subtracting at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like, yes, you can add and subtract at the same time, but that's not the same thing as adding.
Yeah.
That's adding and subtracting.
Yeah.
Multiplying and dividing, you would think it's the same way, right? Would you say that multiplying, dividing, subtracting, and adding are the same?
Do you want to give my answer or
No,
what the general
like the
public?
actual, yeah, what they would say.
No, it's
They
not
would
the
say
same.
no.
Yeah.
But when you look at the way in physical reality, like when you were born, right? Or not when you were born, rather, when you were conceived, you had a sperm and egg come together, right? And that created one cell. How did you grow into a human being?
That cell divided, which also means it multiplied.
It's like, how do you multiply? You actually, in the context of how cells replicate, you multiply by dividing.
Yeah.
Because you had 1, now you have 2.
Yeah.
And then you have 2, now you have 4. They divided again, but they also multiplied. You're also adding to it, but also the cell has to subtract contents from itself to become 2.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, it has to, like, I mean, actually it replicates everything, so it's irrelevant. But the point is, the multiplying and dividing are literally one and the same. They happen
Yeah.
concurrently. And the dividing is not less.
Right.
So what I'm saying though is, if you take the mathematical definition of division, you would say, well, you can't multiply and divide at the same time. Like 5 times 5 is not 5 divided by 5. They're not the same thing.
Right.
But literally, a cell multiplying is a cell dividing at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh, but
So it's just a different context of the word.
but also it's partially it's because and maybe this is like breaking the analogy down, but it's because everything is one. So multiplication and a division makes sense in that context, right? I'm still one human being. So I'm multiplying and dividing, I'm still one. And so we just multiplied a lot of my cells and had to divide by that same exact number to get this one. Right?
Is if you have 5 children, which one's better than the others?
So we got to multiply them
Which
all
one do you
together.
love? Hold on, no. Which one do you love the most?
The first one.
But really, like, what would a parent say?
I love them all equally.
Whoa, 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 whoa! That's a communism equality. You just said equal.
Yeah.
You see? Oh, but love can be equal. Okay, that's what I'm fucking talking about. Like,
Right.
why shouldn't you love all life equally? Why should you be like, no, this person is good? Why shouldn't you love the devil equally to God?
Ooh. Ooh.
You hate the devil, don't you? How do you feel about the devil? How do you feel about it?
The devil's basically like the Holy Spirit, but like for the demons. Like there's Lucifer, it's kind of like God, then the devil, the Holy Spirit, and then Satan, which is like the sun. The sun.
They have their own trinity.
Yeah.
Do you know? Did you know that the Vatican has a giant telescope called Lucifer?
Yes, I did know about this.
How did
Pretty
they explain
hilarious.
that? They're like, oh, it just means light bringer.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Like
But
that was the
don't you
name
have
of
like
the.
a
That was what his
uh,
name originally meant. But
yeah.
isn't he like Satan or something?
Yeah. You know, there's a star that's called Lucifer. It's called the morning star, right? Because that star would come before the sun would come up, right? Um, I forget which star it is exactly, but yeah. Uh,
So Lucifer comes before the sun.
yes, yes, yes. Now
Interesting.
you're getting okay. I just want to throw this in before we end. Um, I've been listening lately to um, to a bunch of uh demons interviews, right? And like the history of Destiny and demons or whatever that one's called, and just like listening to all these different audios
Doesn't
specifically
it
on
make so much more sense?
it makes
The
so
context
much
of
sense,
demons and destiny versus anything else.
dude. And I'm like, okay, listening to this and then having the context of how the system operates, like with the history of central banking and all of that, just like it makes so much sense.
Okay,
Everything
okay,
is
just real quick. Like you know how like when we listen to all the AI stuff, we listen to
Mhm.
all this stuff, we're like, oh, we can see what's going on. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
When I first started studying Destiny, I was just studying all of that stuff. So like, there's not an audio you can't name. I mean, maybe there might be some on Equaf at this point because there's so many. But
Some new
like,
ones, yeah.
right. But I'm saying there's just all the general stuff. Like I know all that.
Yeah.
So it's like heaven, God. It all just makes sense. You see what I'm saying? Like all the whole context of everything, the system, where it's going. And so it's like, okay, we get people to read the sci-fi, look at all these videos, they start to see that. That's why I have to study the Destiny. Because as you do, isn't it just like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how all this fits. So there's nobody can say anything. Billy Carson, Joe Rogan, fucking Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, no one, they whatever they say, you're like, yeah, that's so limited, actually. You
Yeah.
could see it.
Yeah. Like it's really interesting because that there's all these arguments about like, does AI have consciousness or whatever? It's like, yes, obviously, like everything has consciousness. Like
What do you
that's
think consciousness is? Yeah.
yeah, it's like that's nothing special. It's consciousness. Yeah, like it's just seeing all of it, it just makes all this sense. And then um
And but where do you feel like the point of belief comes in? Is it necessary?
belief, no. I mean uh the only point of like belief I would say is the fear of leaving the system, you know? That would be like the only point of like faith, I guess you would
What do you
say.
mean? What do you mean?
Like in the context of like um okay, but I believed all this other stuff before and now I have to stop. And no one else is stopping. Yeah, and so there's like
Mm.
that point, which is like the point that everyone has to face
But
regardless.
that's not really belief. It's not really faith.
No, it's just what's that?
It's not really faith.
It's
What is the faith?
the faith that like it would okay. Imagine if Piers was saying like, okay, I have to go and say the opposite of what all these experts are saying, even though like these are the guys who maybe pay my bills, or like
Yeah.
this is the reason why I can have this show to begin with, right? For him to go against all that, that would be like, I don't know if I can do that and
Well,
still
why does he have to believe something?
it's not necessarily belief, it's just like I guess it's just fear, right?
Right. I'm just saying there's no actual belief because even if you're like, well, I have to believe that it'll work out, I guess, if I go that direction.
Yeah.
Okay. If you stay participating in the system, how is that going to work out?
Not gonna work out.
It is not gonna.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's the, well, I have to believe it's going to work out if I don't. It's like, no, it can't work out if everybody stays. Well, but what if everyone else stays and I leave? You're fucked anyways.
Yeah.
You're fucked if you stay. You're fucked if you leave.
Right.
The only way it can work out is if everybody gets on board. And it doesn't mean everybody all at once the same day, but like at some point there has to be, it's like there's a last drop that fills up the bucket
Yeah.
and then it overflows. There's that one final drop. So you're still filling up the bucket the whole time. But if you don't fill up the bucket, you don't get any water, and therefore you never put out the fire.
Yeah. That's why we have that song, Equal in One. Yeah. Because it takes all of us.
Equal in one, it's all of us or none of us.
Right.
Like literally.
Yeah.
So I see your point, but it's like, what can I say? If you're in this, let's say the Piers Morgan analogy, you're like, well, I could stay here and keep doing my paycheck and keep doing all this stuff. But then you realize, yeah, but also I took the vaccine. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Fuck.
by being in here, so now I know, okay, I'm just going to say all this shit to keep my job, but I'm not going to go along with it. No, because you can't come to work tomorrow if you don't get the next vaccine.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're actually fucked. The system is going to eat you.
Yeah.
You can't just like, oh, I'm just going to stay in there and just not say anything. And that's the fear. It's like, I mean, that's retarded.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Matrix. Once they plug you in, you can't go back. Like it's
Right.
not possible.
Right.
And, even with the cipher point, I don't know if we talked about this, but like, he didn't just want to go back. There was something specific also he wanted. Do you remember?
He wanted to forget
Why?
so that he wouldn't end up back to like, or feeling bad about
But it's
everything that
like, he's like, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the stake's real or not.
right.
Okay, so then why do you forget?
Because, well,
If you don't care whether it's real or not, why do you need to forget? You actually do care.
Yeah.
You're just hoping that somehow you can be re-tricked into not knowing anymore, but it's not possible.
Right.
Because you will know.
Like, okay, you didn't know to begin with, and then you found yourself on the outside.
There was a reason he woke up in the first place.
Right,
So like
exactly.
that can't, because you're not just a program. You're not actually just a program, just following one. But once that crack starts, you can't go back.
Yeah.
You could try to, but it's like, what's going to happen is it's like inflammation. If you suppress it, it comes out later as like a chronic condition.
Yeah.
You try to suppress that, it comes out later as cancer.
Yeah.
Like they're just levels to suppressing of the basic point of disease, which is inflammation. That's all it is. Allegedly. I'm not a doctor. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Oh, okay.
I didn't go to school, so I'm not allowed to. And even if I had gone to school, I'm still not allowed to say that.
Right.
Isn't that funny? Like,
yeah. And now because you've gone to school, we gotcha.
It's like Candace is like, well, actually, I have a degree in journalism. It's like, yeah, but just because you have a degree in journalism doesn't mean you know anything. It's like, wait, so does it fucking make you an expert or not? Like, what is it? Like,
right.
Imagine getting mad at like, why won't the news just tell us the truth? And it's like, that's not the point of it. The point is to brainwash you to accept the system. So the moment Piers Morgan starts to question it, guess what happens?
Yeah, it's like
he gets fired, and then and then the whole thing says he's crazy.
Yeah,
that's just how the game works. It's like getting mad at the school. Why don't they teach you how to do your taxes and how to like all the other things people say? Like like a school should teach these things, and I'm like, you're retarded.
Right? No, school like it's so funny with the school point because like people. Yeah. I mean,
2 more hours on this topic. All right,
we don't need to do
have
that.
to go.
We have a whole.
We got it, man. Okay, so we'll post. I guess you already posted the playlist link.
Yeah, it's in the chat for the Facebook.
So feel free to, if you have it, save it, or I don't know how you save a playlist, but it's probably a way. I'm not
Yeah,
really
you
sure
just,
actually.
I think you just like the playlist and it becomes one of your playlists on YouTube. I don't know how.
Yeah, maybe
that
so,
works.
something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, because I'm going to be adding stuff throughout the weeks, every day, probably adding stuff to it, as long as I remember.
Sometimes
So, yeah.
you wake up and there's 7 new videos.
Yeah, so there will always be. So if you want to like follow, basically, if you want to follow my algorithm, dude, I'm telling you, I have a spiritual connection to my algorithm, dude. It shows me stuff like that I don't know why I see, and then it's always relevant. Or maybe it's just the way my mind works now that I've programmed it to like always see the connections. So any
Yeah.
video is like relevant, whether it's like someone talking shit about the new Star Wars movie or
You're like, I gotta see this.
yeah. But I mean, there's always something in it. So
Hilarious.
just learn to look through the eyes of common sense. That's the process.
Yeah.
All right. Any final prayers?
No prayers. No prayers. I pray on
Children.
no.
I was pretending like you were a priest. Sorry.
Oh, because it's Father's Day. We're gonna get your Peter
Dude,
file.
a man who's like, I'm gonna serve God by never having sex with a woman ever again. Why would God want you to do that?
It doesn't make any
He's like,
sense.
I made you man and woman in my image and likeness. Now the only way to be as spiritually close to me as possible is not to have kids because I, goddamn it, can't have a woman, so you can't either.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. There's a father but no mother. Guys, we're breaking the basic laws of common sense here. You believe in a God where there's a father but no mother. And then you want to be upset that transgender people think they can change their gender when literally your beliefs in the ultimate fundamental nature of reality make no fucking sense.
Oh, okay. So for the longest time, there's been this religion where there's a father and no mother. And now everyone's upset because there's all these mothers raising kids with no father. You started it.
We didn't even get, dude, my favorite part, we didn't even get to the queer stuff.
Oh, yeah, what queer means. Oh,
Dude,
shit.
did you listen to that?
I did. Yeah. Okay.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Really quick, queer is just like against the system.
It
That's
just
it.
means, no, it means you want to be against whatever's normal.
Against what's normal. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it's not the system per se. That's kind of how I'm sure. But yeah, what's normal. So it makes sense why you don't want to be straight because that's normal. It's like whatever's the normal. It's just like you're like the teenager who wants to rebel against what everybody's fucking doing in the younger generations. But then the problem is you become the norm.
Right.
So according
then,
to the way queer is defined, when everybody's gay, the only way to be queer would be to be straight. Like I'm serious, and I'm trying to be funny. Like if you look at the actual, the video is in there if you want to go and listen to it. Because see, look, I feel so good now. I don't have to fucking explain everything all the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, they could actually just go watch the video. So go watch the James Lindsay. Now the guy also believes in Jesus and shit. So whatever.
He is, like with all the videos, it's not all the truth. Yeah, don't.
But he's really good at breaking down all the postmodernist, Marxist, cultural, what's the word, DEI stuff and everything, and helping you see all that stuff. But the queer stuff is pretty interesting because it's like, oh, it doesn't mean anything other than just you're against what's normal.
Yeah.
So I mean, isn't that we're basically queers, dude? I'm a queer.
I knew you were a queer.
You already knew, guys.
I knew you were queer. I got that queer eye.
This Father's Day, let's celebrate all the queers.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Definitely not all of them.
Just the queers who are fathers.
Okay.
Dude. I want to make a TV show on Netflix called Queer Father.
Queer father?
And it's a Catholic priest.
Ooh. That is a queer father. I don't want to watch that show. Sorry.
I understand why you say, Father, forgive me for I have sinned. He's like, guys, I already died. You're forgiven.
Yeah.
Stop asking me. I got other shit to do.
Please. Can you just, it'd be like your kid coming up to you like, can I have permission to, I gave you permission.
They already said you could do it.
Yes. But are you sure I can? I said you can you please? Just, yeah. So, can I end this now?
I think we're good. I think we're okay.
All right, see you guys
Just to
next
wrap
week.
it up, see you next week. I'm queer. Talk later.
Bye.